The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This for UFC Auckland, Hooker versus Felder. I'm your resident tout, weigh-in tout, Paul Shaughnessy, joined in studio by noted weigh-in bet serial donator, Cody Saftic.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me for that, Paul Shaughnessy. Might as well square up my bill right now.
I don't even, you know what?
One guy fucking misses weight on the entire card. It's Ray Borg. Yeah, what can you do?
I mean, I think it was like a 50-50 proposition. I'm shocked that you gave me 3-1. I only want 2-1 from you.
No.
That's what I was willing to give you.
That's a bet.
That's what I was willing to give you. No, I don't want your $300.
No, I don't care. A bet's a bet.
Take some back. Well, this is Canadian money. People are like, what's
I got
this?
some American too, but yeah, what's that? You know how
Here,
people...
take that back.
No, I don't.
I was giving you 2-1.
Well, then you're going to have to bet me something on this card. It's the only way. You're letting me redeem myself.
There's no Ray Borgs for missing weight here. You put the weigh-in tout on the spot.
We'll find a fight we disagree on.
All right.
But still, a bet is a bet.
Speaking of winners and winning money.
Who else won?
We have, so we've been doing that Rate Your Podcast, whatever site that you do the podcast rating on. You give the episode a like. You go leave a 5-star review, something you like about the show. B Rizzle. Apparently, there was only like 2 people who actually did this. So you had a B Rizzle, B_WRIZZLE, $100 to you. Like, this is the easiest one for anybody to win. You just have to figure out how to go online, give this a 5-star review, say something nice about the show, and yeah, Pat's just handing out cash. And then I got a greasy theory on this next one here. We got Dr. Footy winning for the second straight week for the regular giveaway, which is giving the epoSode a like, leaving your DK handle, and
back-to-backs.
Whatever it was last week. Here's my greasy theory. Pat knew that we were onto him with Lockport. Dr. Footy is Lockport, and Pat is continuing to just give away $20 to Lockport Gambino Ford under the name Dr. Footy.
My greasy theory is that Pat is actually into feet. Maybe that's a bet of his. And Dr. Footy is his go-to hookup.
What else do we have on the list of things to do? Oh, the Custies. Tim Anderson says a lot of crazy shit. I don't know. A lot of our MMA fans, maybe they don't tune into the other stuff. Tim Anderson, noted insane person at the Pat Mayo Experience here. Every single year, what we do is we take all of his most outrageous things that he says, tweets, whatever, and then we have like an award ceremony where it's basically like a 2-hour roast of Tim Andercust. So the Custies voting is live. The link for that is in the description. Thanks to Rob MCI16, Rob McIntyre, who takes care of all of that.
All right, perfect.
This guy keeps track of like everything Tim says over the course of a year. Like, he's got it documented. This guy's got like a legit like notebook. It's great.
And people say Tim's the insane one. Whoa. No, kidding.
No,
it's
he's
funny
just
to look back.
He's a great guy. He comes on to the Pat's challenge shows as well. He's a real podcast or a real MTV The Challenge expert. Unlike me, who just says crazy things. What else? Winners for this week. Cody, you told me that you had a DK giveaway.
So last week, the question was, who shit in your apple pie from 246? And then going into this card...
Tim Means.
No. It was who shit in your apple pie.
No, I know. I'm saying the right answer was probably Tim Means.
No, it's obviously Pereira. I mean, he's got this thing in the bag. You could get him at minus 160. Was great. Great odds. And he decides to get himself DQ'd. Unbelievable. So here's the thing. You talk to anybody and they say, oh man, the courage it takes to get into the cage. That's always the argument. But the question this week is what Diego Sanchez did by hearing, I can get out, take the easy way and get the win. Is that a veteran savvy move? Or is that a puss move? Explain in the section below. And yeah, again, people will always say just getting in there makes you so courage. But we watch every week guys put it on the line and break their hands and break their feet and get kicked and everything to continue. And Diego Sanchez has made a career of putting it on the line.
We are
$100,000 bonus, man.
We are going to get really sidetracked if we really go into this topic. Why don't we save this topic for the end of the show? Because I do have things that I have to say about that with regards to who it is and the situation. But we got to
go down the rabbit
hole. People, yeah, we don't want. We'll talk about this for like 10 minutes if you let me go right now. So let's get, you'll see in the description, it'll say like Diego Pereira controversy. And it's in the description.
Okay, but the question this week is our fans' take on it.
Yeah.
Was it a plus move or veteran savvy play, smart decision? Good on them.
So give the episode a like, leave your DK handle, and answer Cody's question. Let's get in the main event. We have Dan Hangman Hooker taking on Paul Felder. Dan Hooker, minus 150 favorite. Paul Felder is plus 130. What's your take here?
Yeah, so tape studying this fight is a bit of a rabbit hole. It's just how much do you believe that the leg kicks are going to play a big part? With Dan Hooker, I mean, God, he looks on fire. He's not totally a young prospect at this point. He's 30 years old. But you look back at a couple fights ago, and he's knocking out Jim Miller. He's knocking out Gilbert Burns. He's on his rise. He's taking out these guys quickly. He's making a name for himself, and he runs into Edson Barbosa. And what's the big thing that kills him in that fight? Sure, the body work. But above all else, it's just like, man, because he stands so tall, because he's such a lanky built fighter, his legs are just there on display to get kicked. And Edson Barbosa, one of the best kickers in the division, just absolutely carves up his legs, hurts him. Once he's not able to move as much, he's just like a sitting target.
He's
now, he stands just like so upright that Barbosa does everything in his power to knock him out with a KO, right? It's just, unfortunately, this guy can take everything. So his corner is just like, dude, just go to the body. Work him with the body, he'll go down. And eventually, he succumbs to the body punches. But he's such a hittable target when he's not able to move. And if you work his leg kicks, he's not able to move. So how does that play into Paul Felder? Well, Paul Felder is a fucking really good kicker as well. Like, if you watch a number of his fights, I mean, he sets up the low kicks well. Inside kick, legs, outside kick. The biggest example is going to be 2 fights back for him when he fights James Vick. And it's like he folds James Vick with that low calf kick. So one has to imagine that in a 3-round fight, I'm thinking maybe it's not as big of a deal, right? But in a 5-round fight, it's like Paul Felder
Can he hold up?
They're both cast iron, so one has to imagine that this is going to go later. I mean, Felder does not get knocked out. He doesn't get submitted. So you have to finish him due to cut stoppage is the only way anybody's been able to do it. But also, that being said, he gets cut in almost all of his fights, like mostly head clashes, but he bleeds in all of his fights. So in New Zealand, in Auckland, by the way, Dan Hooker from Auckland, like he's at his hometown. He's not one of these Australian fighters we're going to talk about that we're going to like, they might get the rub. Like he's physically from there. He's headlining the card for a reason. If there's blood everywhere and these are close rounds, like I don't want to go back to the whole hometown cooking argument, but he will be getting the rounds. He's durable. It's whether Felder can convincingly destroy his legs and then open him up later as the fight goes. And
make it definitive enough that if a crowd is really getting excited about one side, anything that they land. We saw it a whole bunch last week as well. I'm kind of right on the exact same page with you. I think my initial thought was I really wanted to be on Dan Hooker, but Felder's smart. He's cerebral. This guy's in the broadcast booth for a reason. He really, listening to interviews with him, he's like well put together dude.
Oh yeah,
smart game plan. He's got all the tools, definitely. Like, this fight's going to be an absolute war. If I had to pick a side, what I'm doing is I'm going with, we're in New Zealand. This is his moment. I know that neither one of these guys is gonna quit on me. If this goes to the scorecards, I'll lean to the hometown rub just a little bit. But, it should be a real firecracker all the way around.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a close competitive fight. But again, if it is going to be a close competitive fight, then you kind of go with Hooker. Now, the other reason that I am also going to back Hooker on this, even though I think it is a tight spot, minus 150, not a bad price tag, but Hooker's got just a lot more output than Felder. And I think that's eventually going to show here. I mean, we talk about the Barbosa fight where he got lit up, but it was the fact that Barbosa landed 126 significant strikes versus very respectable 86 significant strikes landed for Hooker, and it didn't even go 3 full rounds. So, I mean, like, he's got that output, but he's rebounded since then. And then you look at his last fight against Oleksiejczuk, it's like he himself has learned from the low kick game and has started employing the low kick himself. He stuns Oleksiejczuk. He hurts him with punches. He hurts him with kicks. He makes it a stand-up affair, even when the fight does hit the ground. Like, he's dominating a guy who I guess is only a purple belt in gi jiu-jitsu. But Oleksiejczuk is from a jiu-jitsu camp, training alongside a lot of notable guys, and he's good on the ground. He's a good grappler. So, I mean, he kind of showed a little bit of everything in that fight. But if you look at that fight, it's 98 significant strikes versus just the 37 for Oleksiejczuk. So where I'm drawing the comparison here is that Felder, in many ways, kind of reminds me a lot of Oleksiejczuk. Like, he's got good punches, he's got good kicks, he's a little bit bigger than him.
He likes to throw the spinning stuff, but it's never a volume game with him.
Yes, but his last 2 fights, he beats Edson Barbosa. He got outstruck in the Barbosa fight. It is really close. He wins a split split. You can most definitely make an argument for Edson Barbosa winning. Media seems to be split on that one. Fans are virtually split on the one. It was a split decision. Rewatching it's like you can make the case for both guys, but he is getting taken down by Edson Barbosa, which we didn't really expect. And as well, he did physically get outstruck in that fight, but he only lands 56. The fight prior to that with James Vick, he actually gets outstruck by James Vick 61-55. Now, he wins a decision against James Vick, and here's the notable thing about James Vick here is that he's on a 4-fight losing streak. 3 of the guys have completely fucking rendered him unconscious. Paul Felder's the only guy that took him decision. His only prior loss prior to that in the UFC was Beneil Dariush, who knocked him out, and he actually lost on the Ultimate Fighter to Michael Chiesa, which was a TKO. So the only guy that's ever defeated him by decision is Paul Felder. So maybe that speaks to, does he have the power to take out Hooker, who we just saw take everything, including the kitchen sink against Barbosa? I don't know. Maybe you leave him in the fight too long that the punching numbers eventually start to add up, and now you're looking at it saying, geez, Felder lands 50-60 at best. The Perry fight, he loses to Mike Perry, by the way, but he got outstruck by Perry 62-56. So his last 3 fights, he's landed 56, 55, 56. It's the same thing from Paul Felder. It's effective in spots, winning tight decisions, but he doesn't fight 5-round fights, and you got to think that the longer it plays out, it's got to go volume. So minus 150 for the hometown guy at home. He's right the ship since that loss to Barbosa. And the last thing,
with a good camp of people that has. There's other Paul Felders or like prototypes like that at City Kickboxing. I know that he runs like his own gym, but he spends a ton of time with Israel and Volkanovski and all those guys.
Yeah, and this card also has a lot of guys from that camp as well. So,
Yeah.
they're all trained together. I mean, he spent time at Elevation in Colorado as well. He has branched off, and I really think that he's only 30 years old. He's putting it together. Paul Felder's 35 years old. Paul Felder's last fight against Edson Barbosa, the first judge fucking announces it 30-27 for Edson Barbosa. The second judge announces it 29-28 for Paul Felder. The third judge announces it 30-27. So who do you think won this fight?
Yeah.
Edson Barbosa. Felder has this look on his face like, son of a bitch. But it's 30-27 Felder. So strange you get a 30-27 both ways, but it was a close fight, whatever. He gets the 30-27. They come over to him, he's crying. John Anik gives him the microphone, and he says, you know what? I don't got to be here. I don't got to be doing this. I could be acting, he suggests. I could be doing these broadcasts, doing the color. I don't have to be here. I only want a big fight in my next fight. I want McGregor, I want Khabib, I want Gaethje, or I want Tony Ferguson. But he gets Dan Hooker, right?
I mean, Dan Hooker called him out after his last fight while he was getting interviewed.
Yeah. And Felder's been the play-by-play guy on a couple of Hooker's fights. So it's like there's an understanding of both guys. Like, both guys feel like they know each other. But Felder was looking at this like, I'm 35. I want that big fight. I want to try to get a title fight. I don't want to fight an up-and-comer. Hooker's not really an up-and-comer at this stage.
But it's a main event spot for Felder.
And it's his first main event spot.
But yeah, I saw on Twitter that he was just like, it's, hey, ma, I made it kind of thing. Like, he's on finally, the featured face on a poster.
Yeah, so ever so slightly, I'm going to lean Hooker. And Hooker by decision. He couldn't try to get some extra value, I think.
Yep, I like where your head's at on that. We have I can never get this guy's right now. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk.
Oleksiejczuk?
Oleksiejczuk. Well, I'm sorry to the Polish aficionados out there. I'm pretty good with the Karolina Kowalkiewicz or the Jan Blachowicz. If it ends in a Vich, I'm good.
I think it's Oleksiejczuk.
Sure. Michel takes on Jimmy Crute. Michel's a minus 135 favorite. Crute plus 115. Michel's a real bomb or bust. Comes at you super aggressive to start the fight, but we saw against OSP that if he doesn't put you out early, he loves digging those lefts to the body.
Loves doing the body work.
I love it. It's really exciting. He's aggressive as all hell, but he better have worked on his gas tank, because after that first round, you're like, all right, he's slow, and then halfway through segment, he was dead. You knew it was only a matter of time. Then OSP is able to completely control him in the clinch, lands a couple knees up the middle, and it was kind of all over from there. Sets him up with the Von Prue choke.
That Von Prue, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, I like Michel. If he's gonna win, it's gonna be early. I don't feel like I have the need to bet him here. Jimmy Crute, he was using his grappling against Paul Craig. That was a competitive fight against Paul Craig, even.
Buddy, that fight was
Misha, we were on Misha in that follow-up where it's Misha, we just thought there was just a different level of grappling. We were right on that. He's going to go to the grappling here. I would say my general approach here is I want to see this first round play out. it would maybe be a Crute bet if in between rounds if like Oleksiejczuk is gassed, but I don't know. He may just put it on him early. Like this guy's super aggressive. Like he beat Khalil Roundtree in a striking contest.
Yeah,
like I think he
Jean
can
Volante.
compete. Like I think he's gonna have a big advantage on the feet. So yeah, initial pick was like Oleksiejczuk. I just don't know if I'm gonna bet it yet. What about you?
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling going the other way and having Jimmy Crute. When I look at Michel Oleksiejczuk, we can call him Mo, M-O. When I look at him, he's a poor man, maybe not a poor man's version, but he's just like Nikita Krylov. Like, he comes in, has a sweet striking pedigree. Yeah, less kicks. He's more to the punches and he loves working the body. But he comes out, he's a European prospect that has an entire record that mostly consists of, Krylov's a little bit of a more potent finisher when he was on the regional scene. But it's like he comes out here and he either finishes you in the first round, maybe finishes you early in the second round, or his gas tank just seems to absolutely fall apart. Now, the Khalil Roundtree fight is interesting because, one, he actually went the decision in that fight. Didn't look like he got too tired. But the two things to consider is, A, he tests positive after the fight, so we don't know how much of that cardio in that one fight was
body
aided.
didn't look like he was like taking the good steroids at least.
No, but the stuff that gives you more gas in the tank isn't necessarily the ones that give you more muscle, right?
Didn't help him with that either against OSP.
Well, I'm saying is that he tested positive after that for
fair,
Roundtree,
fair.
so now he's a clean athlete, and he's been finishing guys like Jean Volante in the first round, but now that OSP, by the way, he puts it on OSP in that first round. Like, he's bombing him. He hurts him to the body. He's kicking his ass. Unfortunately, when he fails to finish him in the first round, his game completely falls apart. Going back to that Roundtree fight as well, is that even if he would have fatigued, there was no way he was going to be more fatigued than Khalil Roundtree. Like, Roundtree completely gassed out 2 minutes into that fight and offered absolutely nothing for him. So it's easier for him to kind of look better in that fight. Since then, we've gotten quick finishes, and yes, against OSP, OSP's got a way of snapping on that Von Prue, and he's submitted guys similar to him, like Nikita Krylov. He's submitted better grapplers than Nikita Krylov and Oleksiejczuk with his submission game. You know, he's not a bad grappler. But Jimmy Crute, still only 23 years old, brown belt in BJJ, under a good coach, ever improving. The Paul Craig fight, dude, it's all over the place. But you got to give him credit. Like, he hits a number of sweeps on Paul Craig. He tries a number of submission attempts. That head and arm triangle choke, it's tight. And then he eventually submits him with a Kimura. Like, he just chains together his submissions. He's young. He's opportunistic. He seems to have a good gas tank. As far as the striking goes, it's a work in progress. He likes to mostly just chuck bombs from range, try to close that gap and get a hold of you. But, I mean, Sammy Greco, the 3-time world kickboxing champion, slamming Sammy Greco, is his striking coach, right? They're high up on this kid. He's 23, and Oleksiejczuk is 24. So this is really two green prospects that are developing. Shouldn't be in a co-main event spot, but I mean,
surprised
this
it's
is
so
going to be a
far up
very,
the card,
it'll be a fun fight. I don't agree with the placement on the card, but as far as the 3-round fight between two prospects who, they're both coming off losses, which one's going to take that step forward and advance and which one's not. But when I look at Oleksiejczuk, he's really just a striker who seems to have
a bit of a front runner.
3 to 5 minutes of just nasty striking in him. Whereas like Jimmy Crute can kind of do it all a little bit. Like his wrestling at least something to be desired, but his grappling is good. His striking's okay. He seems to have a very good chin. The Misha fight, he gets submitted with that Peruvian necktie, yeah. But he actually gets out of an armbar. He has an armbar escape. He has a second escape where he gets up. He ends up on top of Misha. He's bombing Misha with dirty ground and pound. And then Misha hits a leg lock sweep, ends up on top, slaps on that Peruvian necktie. Misha's the best grappler in the division, as far as just grappling goes. And, is a legitimate black belt, and this guy's a 23-year-old brown belt from Australia. So there's a work to be done there, but when you look at the improvements that he made, like in between, he beats Paul Craig, and it's sloppy. He comes out after that, and he knocks out Sam Alvey. Sam Alvey at 205 ain't, cast iron Sam Alvey at 185, but still, and it's kind of an early stoppage. But all the same, it's just like, there's that striking I was talking about. We just saw the grappling against Paul Craig. Now we see the striking against Sam Alvey. And now we see a little bit of it both against Misha. Unfortunately, it doesn't go his way.
I feel like the move in this fight is, if Michel comes out like he does in most of his fights, he'll probably win round one. And then you try to hit Crute in the round one window live. That's probably how I'm going to approach this fight, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. And with Jimmy Crute, he's there to be hit. So I don't
necessarily hit by
he
decision or anything in that, because he could get the finish, he could get decision.
Yeah. I can see
that's probably my approach to this fight as we head into it. Sorry, you have anything else?
No, yeah, I could see Jimmy losing that first round. It's just I feel like
Michael comes out hot.
Michael will have to get the first. Lord Michael will have to get that first round finish, or he leaves Jimmy in the fight.
Producer Zach loves the nicknames, by the way.
Lord Michael against Jimmy the Brute Crute.
He was telling me who was gonna win based on their nicknames, and he liked the Lord apparently over the Brute.
Well, we just need Jimmy to fight a good game plan. And he hasn't shown high ring IQ so far in the UFC, but he's shown that he's developing. And the last thing I'll throw on this is, whereas Michael's been in a decision a few times, he hasn't learned from it. Like, he is still that front runner. Jimmy had finished all of his fights on the regional scene in the first round. He finished his Contender Series fight in the first round.
Yep.
That fight against Paul Craig was the first time he got extended. And then since then, he beat Sam Alvey in the first round, and the fight with Misha ended in the first round. Like, we don't know where his cardio is shored up either. So, like, could this be a one-round banger and they both get tired? Like, I don't know. But all I'm breaking it down to is it's dog or pass. Either I want no part of it, or I want the underdog because it's a 50-50 fight in my eyes. So I'll take the plus 115 Jimmy Crute.
We got Yan Janan taking on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Yan Janan is minus 260 favorite. Karolina is plus 220 underdog. Who do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get behind Karolina when obviously her mindset's just not in it anymore. I was actually surprised she didn't retire after her last fight. I mean, the best years for Karolina are clearly behind her, former title challenger. We know that she's gotten to the highest point, but at this point, like, she's never going to get back to title contention. She's not a top 5 fighter in the division. It's like, is it worth it for her to still come and compete and train at the highest level? And like, I don't know. The level of opposition that she's been facing recently has just been not going down. It's just that she's not one of those top fighters in the division anymore. We used to compare her with the likes of Joanna and Jacek. We used to compare her, but after getting smoked out by Claudia Gadelha, after getting smoked out by Jessica Andrade, it's like, okay.
Andrade may have been a career changer. Like, that was about as vicious of a knockout as you'll see in the women's strawweight division.
Right. So now it's like, okay, she's regulated to where she can still fight up and comers and she can still fight girls that are kind of mid-range in the division. But I mean, even just watching the fight with, say, Alexa Grasso, or you go the Andrade fight she loses, Michelle Waterson and Alexa Grasso. Breaking down those fights, there's no way she's going to outstrike Michelle Waterson or Alexa Grasso. The path to victory, if she's going to win these fights, is she would probably have to get the fight to the ground.
Or get inside, do what she did against Rose Namajunas. Get on the inside, utilize the clinch. I wish, sorry, I was kind of cutting you off.
No, go for it.
All right. I think there's a path here for her to win. The problem is I don't believe in her at this stage, and I don't know if she has the performance that she did against Rose back in the day when she's like plus 270 underdog in that spot.
That got her the title fight.
Based how everything else played out, like, it's kind of crazy that she beat Rose Namajunas in that fight. And it was getting in close, utilizing the clinch, winning in those dirty exchanges. You watch Yan Jonan's fight against Angela Hill, and that's where Angela Hill had her best success, by initiating the clinch and fighting in close like that. Yan Janan, really, really fast, crisp striker on the feet. Not going to really struggle with her gas tank all that much, but she's still kind of green. She makes some, like, questionable decisions. Like, when she gets into the clinch, she kind of panicked. One time she, like, pulled guard there. Like, I see a path for Karolina here. I just don't know if we have the same Karolina that we had 3 years ago. I think her athleticism may have jumped off a cliff. And that is where my hesitation is, but for me, it's dog or pass.
Yeah, well, see, that's where I'm coming from as well, is that the version that fought Joanna, that's her at 30 years old. Now she's 34 years old. That was 4 years ago. And since then, it hasn't been pretty.
It hasn't.
I mean, you look outside of the Andrade and Claudia blowing her out of the water, it's just like, okay, those are the top contenders. Michelle Waterson is a top contender. Also, it's just, she didn't even try to take her down. Then you get the Alexa Grasso fight. Okay, Alexa Grasso loves just to stand, throw punches, likes to counterpunch, a little bit of a kicking game. But you need to get inside, clinch this girl up, get her to the ground. She attempts 0 fucking takedowns. She attempted 0 takedowns in the prior fight against Michelle Waterson as well. So basically, she just seems cool standing there and getting hit. And at 34 years old, it's just that. The athleticism's fallen off. She's not the fastest fighter out there. Because I give her the ground advantage here. Yeah, Angela Hill ended up on top. Angela Hill scored takedowns. Why not go that avenue?
Angela Hill at the end of round 2 even had her up against, like, there was a takedown scramble back to the feet, and then Angela Hill has her up against the cage and starts landing knees and elbows and stuff in close as they close out round 2 as well. Like, the hole that Karolina can exploit, if she still got it, is definitely there.
Yes, but now here's another issue that I keep coming to, right? When you look at her fights, Alexa Grasso and Waterstone win decision. She lost the Andrade fight. She got knocked down in the first round. Her wins, Felice Herrig, Jodie Esquibel, both by decision. The wins prior to that, Rose Namajunas, Heather Clark, Ronda Marcos, all decision. Prior to that, coming to the UFC, 2 split decision wins over Inoue and Kalindra Faria.
Yeah.
She hasn't finished an opponent in 6 years.
Oh, yeah, she's not finishing a sandwich.
She's not finished. Yeah, she's not finished anything. So that idea that she could surprise Jan, definitely possible. But to surprise her, I would think it's like you need to bang. It's just like, oh, didn't see that coming. You catch her. It's like,
yeah, it's gonna be.
If she gets a takedown, let's say she gets a takedown, she dominates her in the first round with that takedown. In the second and third round, like Jan has a good gas tank and just throws bombs, man. Like that's one thing that I really took away from the Angela Hill fights. Like Angela Hill is known for, first of all,
durability,
she takes good durability. She takes fights on short notice. It's no problem for her. She's always in good shape, and she's got a good striking acumen. You gotta bully her and use grappling if you want to beat her clean. Otherwise, she's gonna give you a tough fight. She can strike with the best of them and be in the fight at all times. That's where she does her best work. But every time she hits Jan, it doesn't do anything. Every time Jan wings one of these shots at her, it's like she's backing her up. She's very, very strong for the division. And that's where I feel like Carolina's been having troubles, is that when she was taking Rose is a martial artist. She's not very physically strong. She's a great martial artist, right? When she takes on physically strong opponents, she's got nothing to offer them. She's not physically strong enough to get them to the ground, hold them to the ground, work them over on the ground.
I don't think
and
Jan's
as far as the striking,
anything spectacular in terms of strength.
Fair. But watching a lot of these Sonda strikers, it's upper body strength. So I feel like even though she's shown holes in her clinch game, I feel like she's going to be strong enough to just separate, get out of there, punch her way out. Carolina, the other issue is watching her fights is that she's wearing a lot more damage these days. You know, like she's bruising up. She's getting. It all just comes down to she's getting hit. She doesn't move her head particularly well. As much as I do have Jan, it's either a flat pass or you're going to have to try to get Jan on. I'm not even comfortable on decision, just in case Carolina is looking at a 4th straight loss. She has 1 foot out the door.
Maybe she's
her durability
hungry because of that.
Well, I don't know. But I wouldn't take Jan by decision or knockout. I would just take Jan if I was comfortable with picking her. But the price tag is very much where certain Carolina is washed up.
Yep.
Whereas, like you're saying, if she shows us a glimmer of what she can do, what she's capable of doing,
yeah.
Why couldn't she win this fight? But
another fight that maybe in a live market I'd be
she looks very
interested in.
uninterested, and that's
you have
that's
to
just a
see
bad
something
look.
from her, see her like get into the clinch real fast into the fight. I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out as the week plays on, but let's move on down. We've got Dusty heavyweights. We got Marcos Rogerio de Lima, -145. He's taking on Ben Sosoli. Sosoli, +125. Who you got here?
Wow, this is as dogger pass as you could possibly get. Like
Ew.
it's a 50-50 fight. Both guys are absolutely horrid at this level. You know, there's levels to this stuff. Could Rogerio de Lima be on a Bellator undercard? Yeah. Could he beat some guy in LFA? Yeah. Could he play a journeyman type role somewhere? Yeah. And Ben Sosoli, I mean, he's 3-4 as a professional boxer. He's very young into his MMA career. He doesn't really got a whole lot of tangibles going for him, and he's proven that he's not at this level. The other problem is that he's 6 feet tall at 265 pounds, and clearly it just ain't working for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they're both guys leave a lot to be desired, but
at least Marcos
Ben
Rogerio de Lima throws bombs.
Yeah, but that's going to be
then he
his
gasses
problem.
out real fast.
Well, that's going to be his problem.
Like he's got about 4 minutes of bombs, and if Sosoli can withstand that, I guess he takes over. I mean, this is about as high variance of a. Well, no, there's another one that's even more high variance, but this is a pretty high variance fight. It's like Marcos Rogerio de Lima, especially flying over to New. Like I've been there. I spent 8 months living.
And he
over
only
in New
he
Zealand.
got there
Like that
7
flight.
days ago.
That flight is like 24 hours, man. Like especially coming from the eastern seaboard of North America, he would be living in Brazil, so. Kind of like that's probably
American
a good,
top team. He's been at Florida.
He's been at Florida either way.
Yeah.
Still, like you have to fly to LA from there, and then you probably have a little bit of a layover, and then from LA to Auckland is like 12 hours straight in the air. Like that'll. I don't know when these guys are rolling in. That's something to have a look at. If somebody gets delayed, it takes a while to get into town because like that jet lag can absolutely torch you, man. Like it's the other side of the world. And yeah, De Lima is a gasser at the best of times.
At the best of times. Yeah, well, the issue with De Lima is that he's not ever proven to break away from who he is, which is one round of come out there and try to put it on you. And he was, he seemed to be a good sized 205er, but he was never ripped in shape. Was just like a big physically imposing guy, only 6'2", but I mean, you know, big, thick, solid dude. Just cardio didn't work for him. Now him moving up to 265 pounds, like the heavyweight limit, he looks to be out of shape. I guess he figures it helps him on the cardio side of things, as he's not cutting 30 pounds to try to make weight.
His opponent also looks out of shape.
Yeah, right. They both could be campaigning at 205 if they were really taking this seriously and giving forth their best versions of each other. I just, there's so many intangibles in this. Marcos Rogerio de Lima, 100% a better grappler. And I would assume that the game plan is going to walk in, clinch up with this guy, press him up against the cage, peel him to the ground, and try to submit him. Yeah. That's what I would think that the game plan is.
But doing that type of game plan as Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who has gas tank issues, what if you don't get the takedown? He's going to gas even faster.
Right. And whereas Ben Sosoli's kind of got a little bit of an intangible going for him here is that he's 6 feet tall at 265 pounds, and his head coach is Dan Kelly. So it's like, yeah, apparently he comes from a judo background, although everything I've seen from him is boxing and kickboxing. But you know he's at least going to be able to press his back up against the cage and try to keep himself from getting taken down. If he's not getting taken down, if they're just pummeling in the first round, if they're just pressing up against the cage, that's when I think he's going to have an opportunity to take advantage. I mean, you look at Rogerio de Lima's last fight against Stefan Struve. Maybe he would have taken him down clean. Maybe he wouldn't have. But he just socks him with an overhand right, like 3 seconds into the fight. Struve falls down. He jumps on him. Stays in guard for 2 minutes. Passes over to half guard. Stays in half guard for a minute and a half. Moves to mount. He's in mount for 30 seconds. The round ends. He just took his time. He didn't want to blow any energy. Unfortunately for him, it's like he let the first round expire, and now they're back standing. And once they were back standing, he was fucking gassed. Yeah. Struve takes him down. Once Struve took him down, it was nothing. I could see a similar situation here, is that maybe he does take Sosoli down in the first round. If he doesn't finish Sosoli in the first round, then when the second and third round starts, it's like, okay, this guy's only going to sit there and chuck bombs at me, and I'm just too tired to keep doing this. In many ways...
So your pick...
I'm going to go Ben Sosoli. I'm going to go Ben Sosoli as the dog play.
I'm going to go the other side.
Well, it's a dogger pass, but for me... You're actually going to play the favorite on this. Wow.
I'm not going to bet him, but I'll probably play him on DraftKings.
Okay. If you're going for a GPP, I'm sure you might want exposure to one side of this fight. But I'm going to tell you something about Ben Sosoli, right? Going into his last fight against Dan Hardy, the word is, everybody's high up on Dan Hardy, and Dan Hardy just knocks out everybody. But we broke it down on this fight. Ben Sosoli had never been finished. This guy'd been hit. Good chin, good durability. And the result is he barely even really got hit by Dan Hardy. Dan Hardy ends up getting a no contest because of the whole puffer thing. It is what
Greg
it is.
Hardy.
Sorry, yeah. What am I talking about? Dan Hardy. Yeah, Greg
Dan
Hardy.
Kelly you're thinking of.
Yeah, anyways, with the whole puffer issue, it's a no contest. He lost the fight clean by decision anyways, 30-27. But it's like he can take a punch, and he does a fairly good job of not sitting there and getting hit. So if De Lima, and we've seen De Lima 100 times, he just comes out there and chucks bombs. That's his striking style.
I don't think Greg Hardy's really a power puncher. I think we're all thinking about him wrong, though. He's just bombed through some absolute scrubs at the beginning of his career. But I think what we saw against Volkov is definitely more what he actually is.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Mobile heavyweight. Anyway,
Greg Hardy, though, is 6'5".
We've been talking like 40 minutes probably about the first 4 fights here. We should probably move on in a bit.
Okay, well,
finish your last statement. Let's go.
Greg Hardy's 6'5" and a great athlete, right? Prior to that, he took on Dustin Johnson on Contender Series, who's 6'6". Now he's at least getting a guy that's 6'2". So I'm expecting to see more of his striking offense. It's a dogger pass. Either I want nothing to do with it again, which is probably the smart path here, or I figure Sosoli's going to pull a Junior Tafa and come in as some basic striker who pulls off a victory in the UFC.
Yeah, we got Magomed Mustafaev taking on Brad Riddell. Brad Riddell is plus 120 underdog. Magomed Mustafaev minus 140. Magomed Mustafaev, where is this guy at is the real question, right?
Great question.
He was gone for like 3 years, and then he comes back and sends your boy Rafael Fiziev, the real
next dimension.
Saftic him real hard there. Send him to the next dimension with a spinning shape. We always saw, like, back on the regional scene, this guy loves, the spinning techniques, the flashy techniques, not like your prototypical, like, Russian wrestle grappler type of guy, more of a striker. Brad Riddell coming out of City Kickboxing. high volume type of striker. Interesting fight all around. Do you have a strong lean in this one?
No, I don't have a great lean in it. I'm tempted to say if you're going to bet on it that you go dog or pass because, again, I do believe this to be a 50-50 fight. You don't know what you're getting out of Mustafaev and that he fights very infrequently. I mean, the spinning back kick against Joe Proctor, whoa, huge power spinning technique, awesome. He loses to Kevin Lee by rear naked choke. He took almost 3 years off before coming back to take on Rafael Fisaev. And it's just like, yeah, you know what? I was on Rafael. I thought he was going to get him. He's the Tiger Muay Thai striking coach taking on Mustafaev, who nobody's seen in 3 years. And he hits him with a motherfucking spinning back kick, only to the face. God damn. It's just like, is he a one-trick pony in that he can hit you with that one technique? Or it's like, what's the substance? In the Kevin Lee fight, it's hard to say, oh, geez, Kevin Lee broke him down, because it's a way different style. Kevin Lee's a wrestler, grappler, can strike. Brad Riddell is very much stand and strike with you. I mean, he's got a long, well-documented striking pedigree, and he himself is one of the striking coaches at City Kickboxing, right? So Magomed Mustafaev, he can fight some of the best strikers. He can fight top-notch guys. He can catch them with some technique. But if Brad Riddell's figured it out and he's not going to get caught by that one technique, like you said, he's more of a volume guy and he's very clean and he should be able to pick him apart a little bit. The one thing I don't like about Brad Riddell is you watch some of his kickboxing fights, then you watch his UFC debut against Jamie Mullarkey, he is fucking hittable, right? Mm-hmm. And when he does get hit, he's not getting knocked out, but it staggers him. And Jamie Mullarkey hits on a way different level than Magomed Mustafaev, who, if he hits you, is going to cause a copious amount of damage. So, you know what? I mean, Brad Riddell hasn't shown me anything to suggest that he's super chinny and will get knocked out. It's just he's playing with fire. But I do think that he should be able to outpoint him, outwork him ever so slightly to get a decision in New Zealand, which is the path that I figured this one's going to go with. I mean, he's got all his famous corner and teammates with him. The vibe's going to be in his favor. He's just got to not get clean knocked out, because otherwise it's going to be a striker versus striker matchup. Mustafaev could try to mix in the grappling, but I think that's going to lead to him tiring himself out. So I don't know that he goes to that game plan. And again,
I think I like Mustafaev here.
He knocks out Fisaev, right? And now he's taken off 10 months since then. Why would you knock out a guy in 1 minute and 26 seconds, get a $50,000 bonus, and then just fuck off for another 10 months again? Either he's banged up with injuries, or he's just doesn't care.
That was a really high-paced, high-volume fight.
I got the dog.
I feel like Brad Riddell bailed himself out a lot with like in the grappling exchanges and stuff. I don't know if he's gonna have any sort of advantage in that here. I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards Mustafaev in this spot, to be perfectly honest. The guy was 28, left for 3 years. He's 31.
Yeah, but what's he been
doing? Maybe he made a lot of improvements.
Well, I mean, he
was never bad. I always liked him when he was coming up. I liked what I saw for the most part from him.
Also, I'm seeing 5 months after the Fisaev fight, he was supposed to fight Don Madge and he pulled out. So again, when I speculated maybe it's injury, it is injury. And why did he take off 3 years prior to returning? Probably due to injury. So you can take the injured guy. I'll take Brad Riddell at plus 120. And should be a fun fight, man. Regardless how it shakes up, it's going to be entertaining.
Next one down the line, we've got Kevin Aguilar taking on Zubaira Tukhugov. Pick'em fight. Cody Saftic, who you got? I have no idea. This one is I don't know.
So this one,
but it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. This one, I'd love to tell you, dog or pass, but they've got it perfectly marked out. minus 110 both sides. Bookie always wins. It just depends who's physically watching the fight. Now we're coming off events where everyone's debating, did fighter A win, did fighter B win? Oh, what about the takedowns? Oh, but he got back up and he landed the bigger strikes. Oh, how did Derek Lewis win that? Well, he actually caused the damage. Yeah, but Latifi had the takedowns and the control. That's what this fight comes down to. Tukhugov has proven that he does not care about being exciting. He's not a fantastic striker. He doesn't have big power, but he can get takedowns. When he gets takedowns, he just holds you down, man. He's not looking to ground and pound you. He's not looking to submit you, but he can take you down. That's where he's been having the biggest success. Flip side to that, when I look at Kevin Aguilar is very entertaining. Good jiu-jitsu, good striking, seems to have good output, good cardio, fast guy. But the one thing is that he leaves himself a little bit open for the takedown. In his last fight against Dan Ige, it was just people were high up on him going into that fight, but Ige is a better wrestler. Ige is a better grappler. And when Ige was able to take him down, great. When Ige was able to just get him down by other means, he was able to take him. I feel like that's where Tukhugov.
Ige spends a lot of time with Tukhugov.
Yeah, and Tukhugov
I don't
is
know
just
if they've trained for this fight
again,
specifically, but like they're all part of
they're AKA
the
guys.
the
They're
Khabib
AKA guys
right?
with Ali. It's him. Yeah. It's Khabib. It's Dan Ige. It's like they all work together. I look at the Lerone Murphy fight, split decision, draw. Right, it's a split draw. Disappointing in a sense.
What happened to that guy?
Yeah, I don't know. He took the fight on like a week's notice. Gave a great account of himself.
Never,
I fucking picked him.
Never showed up ever again. I don't. Yeah.
Well, it's a 10-8 first round for Tukhugov. And then when the second round, Murphy wins just based on, the scrambling, getting back up. His cardio held up. He had good striking. In the third round, super close. The fact that the judges ended up giving it for Lerone Murphy is the reason why it was a draw. 10-8, 2 rounds for Murphy. You could also make the argument that maybe Tukhugov won. Regardless of that, he scored 6 takedowns in that fight. He was okay with, I'm not the better striker. I'll just go to the takedowns. Whether he should have won or shouldn't have won, it's going to come down to the fucking judge that's watching the fight. The fight prior to that, Renato Moicano, he loses a split decision to Moicano, but he took down Moicano 3 times. It was difficult to take down. It's like the guy's takedowns aren't that bad. And I feel like that's going to be the path of victory over Kevin Aguilar. But Kevin Aguilar is going to be striking off of his back. He's going to be throwing up submissions. And therein lies the problem. If one judge watches the fight and says, geez, one guy's been on top for most of the round, another judge sitting next to him, not next to him, but, on the other side of the cage, could be watching the exact same fight thinking Aguilar's throwing up elbows from his back. Aguilar's trying to scramble. Aguilar's throwing up submission attempts. So, honestly, it's a 50-50 fight. It could go both ways. I'd like to say this is another super exciting fight because Kevin Aguilar is usually in exciting fights. But Tukhugov, he doesn't care. He'll just bring it. He's trying to fight like Khabib 3 years ago, just like secure position, dominate position. And then, as time goes on, I'll secure position and fuck the guy up. But for the time being, I'm either going to sucker punch the guy when he's not looking, like the Conor McGregor scuffle, or I'm just going to hold him down like his fights that are legitimate in the octagon.
We got Jalen Turner taking on Joshua Culibao. Jalen Turner, minus 210 favorite. Culibao, plus 175. I believe Josh Culibao trains out of Igor MMA, ran by Igor Vovchanchin, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Watching some tape. I saw Igor MMA, but nobody else is from that gym. I thought I heard something on the broadcast. The Australian broadcast of his last fight versus, I forget the name of the guy now. Total jobber. I mean, it looks like he at least, if it's this is the highest variance fight in my opinion, because I think there's going to be high, it's going to end up being kind of a brawl between these two guys, and whoever lands the cleaner in that brawl is going to win. They both look like they'll go for it, but Culibao's faced absolute nobodies. And Jalen Turner, I'm going to lean towards, not at that price, I don't want to bet it, but I'm going to lean towards him just based on athleticism. I think he's just much bigger for the weight class, and he hasn't been exactly the greatest, but I've seen some sparkles of his ground game and everything kind of coming together. Culibao just looks like he's going to have to bomb on him from the inside. If he's going to have a chance, he's going to have to get a knockout. Jalen Turner is the pick here, but actually, I think I feel pretty good about him, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if I'm going to bet him, but I wasn't impressed with what I saw from Culibao. I'll just say that.
Yeah, well, it's very hard to get a read on one guy who's fought his entire career on the Australian regional scene against limited competition. He's got a notable win, Rodolfo Marquez, but way past his prime.
Marquez had 5 straight losses.
Oh, yeah, he was good back in the day, fighting for Shudo and stuff. But yeah, that ship has long past sailed. So it's not a great win. He got the knockout in said fight. But yeah, it's very hard to compare a guy whose most notable victory is him versus a guy in Jalen Turner who made his UFC debut on short notice against Vicente fucking Luque. At least he's fought in high-end guys. He's fought in the UFC. He's had 3 fights in the UFC. This is his 4th outing. Yeah, he's got to go take on that local guy, but it's the local guy kind of coming in on short notice. Mm-hmm. I would have to say that logic for me, I'm straight passing on this, and I'm actually going with a lot of is purely narrative, right?
You got Narrative Street right behind you.
Perfect. Remember 3 weeks ago, we were breaking down Austin Lingo, right? Austin Lingo versus the Moroccan Devils Alal, and we watched the tape on that, and Austin Lingo looked pretty fucking good. He's fighting an LFA. He's a natural 145er. He's, probably close to an LFA featherweight title shot. and he's taking on a short notice replacement. The fight got put on pretty short notice, but a guy that fought at 135, who's like 1-2 in his last 3 fights, that just, looked to be fairly one-dimensional with his striking. And what happened? Oh, by the way, like he's moving up the weight class. He took down Lingo. He outstruck Lingo.
Yep.
He kicked his ass pillar to post. Right. Jalen Turner's much bigger than. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name already. Culibao. He's much bigger than Culibao. He's a tall guy for sure, right? He would probably seems to be the better striker. He's got the bigger power, and the biggest beyond thing is that, dude, he fought Vicente Luque. Like he's a fairly big guy. When you look at Culibao's a featherweight. Culibao's 145 pounds. So he's taking the fight on short notice. He's moving up a weight class. He's fighting a guy who's much larger than him. Not just larger because of the weight class jump up, but a guy who's already big for that weight class anyways. And a guy that absolutely hits massively hard. He's got a lot of things going for him in that fight. But there's not enough available on both guys. Like Jalen Turner's fucking 8-5, right? Coming off a loss to Matt Frivola and is a minus 210 favorite. Like I would have to say, I don't want any part of that. Lesson learned. There's not enough on Culibao for us to genuinely say, is this guy good or is this guy bad? And so I don't know yet. And this would be a great opportunity to learn more about him. But for the time being, I'm going to have to say hard pass.
Jake Matthews takes on Emil Weber Meek. Jake Matthews, minus 225 favorite. Meek, plus 185. Cody.
Remember when Meek was everybody's darling, coming to the ring with an axe?
He's got good. That guy's got good energy. That guy's got good energy.
For sure.
You get fired up for that guy showing up, at least.
Yeah, fair.
I'll let you start. I may have hot takes on this one.
Okay. I think, trying to read your mind, that you are off Jake Matthews because we have talked about Jake Matthews for a number of years now, and the improvements have never been there. He's a guy that's supposed to be a good grappler.
Moved around anywhere. Never really got some different looks somewhere else. He just wants to hang out with his dad.
Yeah, is wrestling is just okay. Is grappling, it's just okay. Is striking, it's just okay. His cardio, just okay. And where he was a young kid with just okay skills everywhere, it was like, oh, can you imagine when this kid's 25? Can you imagine when this kid's 28? Can you imagine when this kid starts to peak? But it's like none of those skills have really improved. So now I go back to, okay, his best path to victory is just get the fight to the ground and try to use superior top game. And at least that's one thing. He's kind of strong. But he was strong for 145 pounds. Coming up to at 155 pounds. Coming up to 170 pounds, that strength, that top game, it's largely negated now. So I don't know where this kid's ceiling is at. I mean, on one hand, now you look at him, he's only 25 years old, is that I expected him to be maybe a top 15, top 10 fringe contender by 25. We're just not seeing that out of him. And the UFC is giving him a fantastic job of trying to keep this guy relevant. They've given him Bojan Velikovic, who he won a split decision over, a debated split decision over Bojan. You had Bojan winning, in fact. Then he beats Jingliang Li, decent enough win. Shinzo Anzai loses to Rocco Martin, who smoked him out, made him look foolish. And then the Rostam Akman fight. Rostam Akman wore a sweater during the fight, should not be in the UFC, and took the fight on short notice. And gave him a go, man.
It was
competitive. Jake Matthews is just not making those drastic improvements that he needs. The one thing I am going to say, though, is the reason why I am going to dig Jake Matthews, is Meek's there to stand and throw bombs. Meek's there to get in clinch standing and make it a greasy fight. Meek does not fight well off his back. And everybody that's wanted to just take him down and have their way with him has. Jake Matthews, again, he's getting yet another hometown fight in front of his own crowd. They give him all types of these fights in Australia and New Zealand.
Buried deep onto the
because he hasn't proven why he shouldn't be on the fucking dirty prelims. He's not looked good.
2-hour flight away to his hometown in a different country. Hometown. I don't know if I buy the Australian edge here, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
It would be like a Canadian going down to the US. That's the mentality down there. Actually, frankly, the Kiwis probably don't. I'm sure this is not a blanket statement, but of course it doesn't apply to everyone. But the Kiwis and the Aussies, they don't really mix all that well. They're kind of rivals in a way.
This is where I'll counter you, right? Let's say the show was in the U.S., right? But you have Canadian fans traveling over there, then you're going to get some type of a pop, right? The Australian fans will go to New Zealand to support their guys, so there's going to be a crowd pop regardless. One guy's from Norway and one guy's from Australia. So yeah, I'm not saying that it's going to be like, yo, let's screw this guy. I just mean Jake Matthews has been fighting kind of the same way recently. He tries to secure the takedown. He seems to be athletic enough still. He's fast on the outside, but like his strikes just don't have any power. And after seeing those fights back in the day, like Akbar Theriola folding him up with a head kick, like he doesn't really want to strike no more, man. He wants to secure a takedown. Is that who you're thinking of?
I will never get that thought out of my brain. That is what I was going to bring up. You're tripping over what I was going to say here.
Oh, yeah.
I will never get that Akbar Areola head kick. I'm on Matthews. He's on all the parlays. He is about to shit in my apple pie.
He won.
He won, but he got dropped by Akbar Areola. Now on Meek, okay, this guy is not great. He wants to bomb. We saw that, you know, he can deliver some real hellacious elbows. Just ask Husamar Palhares about that when your, you know, leg locks don't really work when you're giving up some, well, the strength's pretty close there. I think the problem with Matthews here is he's been stronger than all of these other 100 when he's fought at 170. He's been stronger than all of these other guys he's been taking on. This is the first time I think he's giving up a strength. There's a strength disparity here. I want to see them sitting next to each other, but here's my case on Meek. One, he took on Bartosz Fabinski.
And Kamaru Usman.
Bartosz Fabinski is like the perfect matchup for Bartosz is this. It's just like, I'm going to take you down, I'm going to hump your leg, and I'm going to repeat. And that's where you can exploit him. I don't know if
six takedowns, Bartosz.
Yeah. I just don't know if Jake Matthews has wrestling on that level. I also trust Bartos's, I trust his durability more than him. Emil Weber Meek made Kamaru Usman 30%. 30% Usman.
That's true. That is true. He did reduce them. He gave up 8 takedowns.
I feel like Meek is not going to quit on me. As a bettor, this guy is not going to quit on me. He could be on the bottom. He could be getting beaten. But this guy's never going to quit on me. We've seen it even in the Jordan Mean fight. Where, yeah, he lost that first round early. Jordan Mean was able to take him down. This guy just kind of kept coming. It's not pretty. It's not fancy. Emil Weber Meek inside the distance plus 405. I'm gonna be on it.
Okay, yeah, hey, dude.
Like
honestly,
I don't want to play a decision game with him.
It's a good price. It's a good price.
I don't want to play a decision game with him. If he's gonna win, he's gonna get a finish.
I completely disagree. I think if he does win, decision is completely on the table because yeah, dude, he gives up the takedowns in the first round, and in the second and the third round, he breaks this guy and he hurts this guy, but he doesn't quite put him away.
I just don't trust.
In not putting him away,
I don't trust Jake's heart, man. I don't.
No. And honestly, I was thinking to myself earlier today when I was thinking, geez, you know what? When was the last time Jake Matthews looked good? Not in the Ackman fight, not in the Tony Martin fight, not in the Shinzo Anzai fight, just because, you know, it was Shinzo and it finished very early. The Jingliang Li fight, I didn't think he looked bad. The Boyan fight looked terrible. Prior to that, he lost to Andrew Holbrook, which was it was Whitaker versus Brunson. So I think it was in New Zealand. And they fucked him in a split decision against Andrew Holbrook. That goes to your point.
Yep.
Prior to that, he got absolutely toasted out by Kevin Lee. And then I thought he looked good against Johnny Case. But the one before that was Akbar Theriola. So, like, we just talked about 10 fights from this guy. He maybe looked good in 2 of those 10 fights.
Yeah, the hype train has been derailed.
Yeah, and plus 185 is one nasty price to be like, hey, I'm going to fade this guy. This is the opportunity. That's a nice little price. Well, why not go for it? But yeah, I'd go back to Jordan Mean was coming off a 2.5-year-long layoff. He took him down 3 times and then gassed out. If he didn't gas out, he would have just kept taking him down. Usman's Usman. He took him down 8 times. You can't compare Usman to fucking Jake Matthews. And Bartosz, you're right. Bartosz is like a different type of strength. Like it'd be like a high school kid versus a carpenter or something. Like it's just like it's a different type of strength, right? So I get all the points you're making. I just honestly think that Jake Matthews is going to pull a classic squeaky decision, close fight, doesn't look great, but gets the job done. And because I feel like it's going to be a close, greasy fight, I'm not interested in 225 on a betting standpoint. I just think that Jake Matthews will probably get the win.
We got Song Kanan taking on Callum Potter. Song Kanan -2 under favor. Callum Potter plus 170. Hot takes here?
No, not a super hot take because I honestly didn't think Callum Potter had much of a chance against Maki Pitolo in his debut. I mean, again, he's coming on a short notice and he doesn't seem to be the most talented of guys.
No, he's a guard puller a lot of the times.
Yeah. And I didn't really see the path from there. But as it turns out, his striking wasn't bad. He was out-striking Pitolo. And his grappling, he easily out-grappled Pitolo. And he showed you something. He picks up the victory. It was kind of embarrassing. I told myself I probably wouldn't bet Mac Pitolo anymore. But the main thing here is that, like, Callum Potter, he showed you something. Song Kanon, meanwhile, I think he does get taken down in this fight. But he's pretty durable on the ground. Like, he's not getting submitted. He's not getting cleanly outworked. And, like, he does a good job of scrambling back up. When he scrambles back up, he's going to have the striking advantage all day on Callum Potter. So I feel like he does enough to slowly outwork Callum Potter, pick up a decision. Minus 200 is not the kind of price tag that I'm super high on. Like, I don't know how much I believe in Song Kanon, who's, I wouldn't say a busted prospect, but, like, I don't know. I mean, sky's not the limit for this guy. And against Potter, he kind of just shit in my apple pie in his last fight when he pulled off a victory I really didn't see him, having any business getting. The other thing, too, is that he comes on this card.
Maybe he just overrated Maki Pitolo.
Yeah, no, and completely possible. Maybe Maki Pitolo is just not good at all, which is possible. Maybe Callum Potter is a little bit better than I give him credit for. But we've seen with guys like Luke Jumo and, Dan Kelly and Callum Potter, it's like if you give them low-level competition, whether they're dogs or not, they come through and pick up that victory. He's also in the same, he's a full-time training partner with Jimmy Crute and Ben Sosoli, right? So he's got 3 or 4 teammates on the card. They're all under Dan Kelly.
I feel like all of those guys are ripe for a loss this week.
You know what? I bet you more
all 4 of those guys in that picture. So that's why I said on that Twitter post that they were the best quartet getting ready for this card, Australian quartet.
Well, they're the only. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying that I think he'll be in relatively good shape. I got Song Kanon, minus 200. I feel like he's going to take on a little bit additional money as time goes. Probably not a whole lot more.
It was minus 185. It's moved to minus 2 now.
Yeah, I feel like it could get to 225, 220-ish. But yeah, I got Song Kanon. It's just, I don't feel super comfortable. This is almost a dangerous card. Like, there's not a whole lot of key spots where it's like, this is where you got to bang on. There's a lot of dog plays. Callum Potter doesn't fall into my category of a dog or pass. He doesn't fall into my category of a straight-up dog. He falls in my category of just pass on this guy altogether. He cost you money once, giving you watch tape on him, and you valued his skills lower than they ended up actually being. And now he's taking on a guy in Song Kanon who, again, probably is giving up the wrestling, but has just got to keep scrambling back up to his feet. Well, what if it goes 3 and he's giving up those takedowns? Now I've got to rely on the judges to help me out. And minus 200, I don't want to rely on the judges to have to help me out. Mm-hmm. So it seems to me like it's more of a pass on.
I think Song
I got him.
Beats him up pretty good on the feet.
Yeah,
Callum Potter, guy's a guard puller.
Which means he doesn't care about being on the feet. The fight's just gonna hit the ground because he's got no.
But
interest.
I saw enough from Kanon Song versus Derek Krantz that sure Song Kanon is gonna get he gets taken down. Krantz's wrestling is considerably better than Potter. Like, Potter's gonna have to
Krantz is no joke. He's got a bad looking record.
Yeah, and Kanon got into a couple bad spots, but he was able to get out. He had Derek Krantz's face cut up pretty bad. Like, I think Derek Krantz puts it on Callum Potter as well. So I feel pretty good about Song Kanon. But yeah, the problem is this does go to decision. Another Callum Potter's Australian, I believe. I may be wrong.
I believe he's Australian, yeah.
I don't know if he's going to really get that much of an edge in the judges' scorecards, to be perfectly honest, then. It's going to be early in the card. We'll see how many people even show up at this time. I mean, I guess a lot of people are going to be there for the next fight, which is Kai Kara France taking on Tyson Nam. Kai Kara France minus 260 favorite, Tyson Nam plus 220. I have a feeling that you are not feeling comfortable laying a minus 260 with Kai Kara France in 2020.
No, I'm not, but I have a saving grace, is that apparently you have to knock him out to defeat him by decision in New Zealand, because I've seen him get his ass kicked one time already, and he beat Rolian Pava, so it didn't really matter now, did it? I feel like he's a little bit sharper, a little bit faster in all areas than Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam has played a full career of being the spoiler. He comes in, he should lose, he gets the victory, whether it be the Eduardo Dantas fight, whether it be his fights in Russia. This is what he does. He goes into enemy territory and he picks up the big victory. But you can't make your full career on that. It's like winning these last second buzzer beater head kicks over Ali Bagatinov. Like, eventually that second's just going to expire and you're not going to get that finish and you lose the decision. He gets rubbed. He gets the wrong rub on decisions all the time when he makes a decision. And I'm just seeing out of him, like, he's a guy that's out of Team Quest, Portland, Oregon, but he's not a great wrestler. That power, he's got good power in his striking. He's got decently quick hands. But it's like he's really got to rely on the one shot. I don't feel like the one shot's going to land here in this situation against Cachoeira France, who, even though he's that member of City Kickboxing that is getting a very positive aura from everybody else in the gym, but he's the one guy that's kind of like, I don't want to say let us down, but it's like it's not fully there for him. Like, he's a flyweight contender that was on The Ultimate Fighter, didn't really pan out on The Ultimate Fighter, looked decent on the regional scene. Dana White gives him a call himself. We want you on this card because it's local. Doesn't look good in that fight. Looked okay his last time out. It's just like, I don't...
He's a flyweight who relies on power.
Which is obviously going to be a problem.
Never a good thing long term.
No, because these guys can take it. Tyson Nam's got he's a decently durable guy. He's fought the best of the best guys over the last 10 years. Like, he's fought some scrubs along the way, but like, he does not mind stepping up to the plate against these guys. It's that he has to land that big shot to knock him out, because otherwise he's not going to do enough to cleanly say, yo, he definitely won that fight. He'll be in a subjective striking match.
Which may be enough in New Zealand, but...
Not against Cachoeira.
No, for Cachoeira France.
Sorry. Could be enough in New Zealand for Cachoeira France.
Yeah.
But 260, it's like, I would want a definitive he's going to kick his ass.
Yep.
If this is 200, I'm over it all day. Not just because I think he'll get the positive rub, but I do think he's the better fighter. I think he's faster. I think his punches are way more linear. I think he's just going to beat him to the punch, evade. The other thing is, when you're relying on that one big punch, you got to have the guy engage you. But Cachoeira France does a good job of getting out of there. Rolian Pava was able to extend him and beat him up a little bit, but he hadn't been in a gut check fight like that. And to his credit, I mean, he landed all types of nasty shots. It's that he couldn't get this guy to back up. I feel when I look at this matchup, Tyson Nam's not going to pressure him the same way. So as a result, he should just get pot shot, get out of there. Pot shot, get out of there. Pot shot, get out of there. It should be enough to win the decision. So I'm going with Cachoeira France. Even though I want to probably chase a better price tag than 260 by taking him by decision, because he throws so much power against an aging Tyson Nam, like, it's completely possible that maybe he does catch him as well. So I feel like you would have to just take him 260, and at that point, it's not a great price tag. You're going to want to parlay him. But like, this is a card that's like
Someone's shitting in the apple pie. There are definitely apple pie shitters top to bottom.
Your parlay's got a weak chance of making
place.
it, because there's just so many 50-50 fights. But also, I would rather have a 50-50 fight. The guy didn't shit in my pie. I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
A 260 favorite, he's the kind of guy that shits in your pie.
Yeah, that's got to be a lock.
Yeah, he's got to be an absolute lock. And whereas I feel fairly certain in him, I'm like 80%. It's too big of a price tag to invest more.
Yep. All right, we got Angela Hill taking on Loma Lookboonmee. Angela Hill minus 200, Lookboonmee plus 170. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, it seems to me like people, I don't know, I don't want to say
people are liking
chasing.
Loma.
Yeah, I don't want to say chasing a dog, because like, it's a card that has a ton of dogs, but like plus 170 is a good looking price tag. People, they like to try to fade Angela Hill in spots when they can here and there, and like, they're seeing something that I'm not giving a ton of credit to, right? They're seeing that
the speed.
That she has some massive fucking clinch game that she's just gonna decimate Angela Hill with that alone. I don't know alone, but she's 5'1".
Yeah,
and she
Angela
fought,
Hill's what, 5'6",
No,
5'7"?
no, I think she's
5'5".
5'3", 5'4".
Really? I thought
She's
like,
5'3". Yeah.
Okay.
No,
so
she's not all that tall,
as much
man.
taller than I thought. She's got big hair. That probably makes her seem bigger.
Tall. Okay.
She does.
Lookboonmee.
She's got a big afro.
Lookboonmee's 5'1". She has a 62-inch reach, right? It's unheard of. When she fought in Thailand as a Muay Thai fighter.
Remember Milana Dudieva, T-Rex arms?
Yeah. It's just like, how do you hit somebody with those things? But she loves the kicks. She likes elbows. Even though she's a Muay Thai fighter with all this Muay Thai experience, she's not some killer stand-up fighter, stand in front of you and smoke you. It's like her hands are not super developed. She likes kicks, she likes knees, and then she likes to clinch up with you. When she clinches up with you, she just beats you up pretty good. Since turning to MMA, she's got a decent wrestling game. Like, she's able to take opponents down. Yes, she's from Thailand, but she's training at Tiger Muay Thai, so, they got the grappling coaches, the wrestling coaches, George Hickman and all them working with her. I'm sure she's made improvements, but I don't know that she's going to be able to rely just on her wrestling and her clinch game to beat Angela Hill. Like, take off the Angela Hill by short notice. That doesn't seem to matter.
No.
Angela Hill takes all of her fights on short notice, seems to fight better short notice, and is just like keeping in shape, rolling out, making some improvements. But she's got better punch output than Lookboonmee, and if she just stays on the outside, I believe she's faster. She's a little bit rangier in that she has a 64.5-inch reach. So a 2.5-inch reach advantage, a 2-inch height advantage. She's taking on... Lookboonmee used to fight in Muay Thai at 108 pounds, right? She turns to MMA, she fights at 115. well, geez, there's no 115-pound weight class, so they give her Alexander Albu at 125. Albu, you've seen her, so small, and also just like very one-dimensional. It's 3-1 versus 3-1. Very green Albu versus very green Lookboonmee. Lookboonmee got a split decision victory over Alexander Albu. Okay, fair. When you compare that to Angela Hill, so that's one fight in the UFC. You want a split decision over an absolute, just unheralded opponent. Angela Hill, when she was 0-1, or she was 1-0, she was on The Ultimate Fighter. She fought Carla Esparza, world champion. She fought Tisha Torres, perennial contender. She fought Rose Namajunas, world champion. She fought Jessica Andrade, world champion. She fought Nina Ansarov, a perennial contender. She fought Yan Xiaonan, who's an up-and-coming contender. And now that she's taking these fights on short notice against Jodie Escobel, Ariane Carlosi, and Hannah Cifers, she beats all of them. When she fights world champions or top contenders, she doesn't get the rub. But that, just to make mention, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She's had 10 fights in the UFC. She's taking on an opponent that's had 4 pro fights together. Sorry, 4. She's 4-1. She's had 5 professional fights altogether. Taking on a girl that's had 10 UFC fights. That all she does is take these fights on short notice against Hannah Cifers, Ariana Carlosi. Those are as good to me as Loma Lookboonmee. So I can't get behind Lookboonmee. The plus 170, like I get where people are coming from, but I'm not seeing it. Like I would have to get like a plus 250 to be like, whoa, this is a women's MMA fight. It could get greasy, and I'll take the girl that could get the rub. But again, Angela Hill trains with one of the best female teams at Alliance MMA. She's very well coached from Eric Del Fiero and all the bunch down there. She's going to be more than prepared for this fight. And I just don't see Lookboonmee just holding on to her in the clinch and peppering her with short elbows and knees for 15 minutes to win the decision. So I got to go with Angela Hill. Minus 200. I don't love it just because I just mentioned, it's a women's MMA fight. That's kind of, one girl's got 1 fight in the organization. The other girl's got a 500 record after 10 of them. So do I love to jump on it at that price tag? No. But Angela Hill has been doing exactly this, coming in at similar price tags on short notice and winning us money. So maybe she's worth another look.
That all makes sense to me. We got Takashi Sato taking on Maki Pitolo. Not going to lie, this is like the one fight that I really haven't put too much thought or preparation into. Sato minus 120, Pitolo plus 100. I mean, if you're coming off of a loss against Callum Potter, I am out. It's just whether Sato's a bet. I am not touching Pitolo, I'll tell you that much. Is there a case to be made for Sato here, or should we just kind of skip across?
Yeah, well, I think no, you know what? It's just a flat pass. And then whereas I would say dogger pass, Maki Pitolo really fucked me over against Callum Potter. And Callum Potter,
I'm out.
No,
I am out.
Callum Potter represents just like the absolute lowest level, short notice guy in the region. Only reason he's here, was a veteran of that regional show scene and deserved the fight just because he put the time in. But like talent-wise, shouldn't have been there. Maki Pitolo, had fought on the Contender Series. He had earned himself a contract. He's supposed to be somebody decent. But it's like, man, his grappling is no good. His cardio did not check out. He's just got massive red flags all over the place. And the flip side to that with Takashi Sato, I'm not very high on Takashi Sato. I mean, yeah, he knocked out Ben Saunders, but I didn't think he looked particularly good until landing the shot on Saunders. And then Bilal Muhammad don't finish nobody. Like, Bilal Muhammad really just outworks you. And is a very good fighter. And I enjoy watching him fight very much so. But just like, it just breaks you down, takes a lunchbox with him. He fucked him up pretty decent. So Sato's got glaring issues in his game. And whereas Pitolo, again, you look at the tape study, coming into his last fight against Potter, let's say he never fought Potter, and we were just looking at it like Maki Pitolo versus Takashi Sato, this matchup. Then I think you go with Pitolo. But seeing that to me, he's a busted prospect, I'm not sold on this guy whatsoever. Now I'm worried that if he doesn't land that big punch, like what's his nickname? Coconut Bombs? Like, why'd they give him that nickname? Because probably whoever was training with him was just like, yo, this guy stands in, he chucks bombs. He's Hawaiian, there's the coconut reference. Biggity bam, he likes to chuck his hands. Seeing it in that fight against his last time out against Callum Potter, it's like, yeah, man. I mean, if he's not just standing there throwing bombs, he's in trouble. And even in that situation, he didn't look all that good. I mean, I just feel like a lot of holes in the game. Now, either he comes out for his second UFC fight, short up all those issues, is a better version of himself, doesn't have the same octagon jitters, doesn't have all that, and goes out there and beats Sato. But I can't confidently say that that's the case. It's a close fight, 50-50. I think that there's better value elsewhere on the card. The smart decision is probably just hit the pass on it.
Resident nickname expert, Zach. Do you like coconut bombs? Does that one work for you? We got a thumbs up. We got a thumbs up from Zach. All right, finally, the moment, the people's main event. I'm just kidding. Shayna Dobson takes on Priscilla Cachoeira. Shayna Dobson minus 230, Cachoeira to be had for plus 170. What is this? What world have we came to? Where this is
the UFC, dog. The premier mixed martial arts organization in the world.
They must have been forced to give her like a fourth fight here, because like they literally like put her life in danger when she had to take on Valentina Shevchenko. Like there was no line you could have made that would have made that fight that would have made Valentina Shevchenko unbettable. There was absolutely zero chance that Shevchenko could have lost. So I'm gonna scrap all of that. Priscilla, I'll give you a little bit of. The girl is durable. She's feisty. She seems to want it. The skills are just not there whatsoever. But she's taking on Dobson, who I know that she trains at Elevation Fight Team now. Hopefully she's working on that gas tank, because yeah, she tires in about 7.5 minutes. I don't know how I'm saying this, but if there was ever a moment for Cachoeira to catch a dub, it's this.
Yeah.
There is no way I would put a cent of money on it. But if there was ever a moment, this is it. Maybe Shayna Dobson's turned the corner. If Shayna Dobson has a better gas tank now and can fight for 3 rounds, she's going to piece up Cachoeira 100%. But I don't have faith in that yet. What about you?
Yeah, okay, so the concept is not, could you see a world where Shayna Dobson beats Priscilla Cachoeira? Yeah, no, of course. Do you see a world where you would bet minus 200 on Shayna Dobson?
No, God, I can't.
To beat Priscilla Cachoeira? No.
3-3.
So now I'm thinking about it. Do I see a world where I bet Priscilla Cachoeira as a minus 200 over Shayna Dobson? No.
Plus,
no.
Oh, sorry.
But do I see a world where I would bet Priscilla Cachoeira as a plus 170 over Shayna Dobson? Fuck. Maybe I could talk myself into this.
Oh, God, don't do it.
No, listen, it's as greasy and degenerate as it's going to get. It's the very first fight on the card. But again, if you're looking for value,
I can't.
there could be something there, man. There could be something there. I'll tell you my main point of why I believe that. Cachoeira, what can you really take away other than, she's tough, she's durable, she's trying to get in there and make it happen. Just that the skill level doesn't reflect that. And at 31 years old, very hard for me to make the argument that she's going to make these improvements that are necessary to compete. But Shayna Dobson's 3-3. I mean, she did not look good on The Ultimate Fighter. She hasn't looked good in her subsequent fights since The Ultimate Fighter. And she's also an aged fighter as well. So, there's zero upside to either of these fighters. But with Cachoeira, it's like, dude, she fought Valentina Shevchenko and went 4-25 of the second round with Val.
She didn't land a punch.
No. She lasted 9.5 minutes.
That's because Mario Yamasaki wanted her to be a warrior.
Oh my God, I know. Well, he obviously also bet the over 1.5 rounds. It was just like 100%. I can't stop this at 231.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
229.
You have to be a warrior there, Priscilla.
You're gonna have to be a warrior for a little longer. But again, she fights Valentina Shevchenko, which is just absolutely absurd that it happened. But she lasted 4.5 minutes, which is more than Dobson would ever be able to do, in my opinion. Then the Molly McCann fight. Man, again, she does not look good, but she opened up that nasty cut on Molly McCann. Blood everywhere, wins the 3rd round, hustled her up. Cardio didn't let up on her.
Exactly.
That's at least something. Now, Molly McCann, for all the issues she has, former Cage Warriors champion, and was getting a hometown fight. So Cachoeira, again, is just being brought in to lose, specifically. Against Luana Carolina. Man, we were on Luana Carolina. But Luana Carolina was like a Muay Thai specialist, and she looked okay on the Contender Series, and she was very, very tall, and you just knew she was going to bomb with knees, all this and that, right? Again, she loses that fight. It's just like, oh man, when is she going to be able to catch that break? But all those fights, it's like there's something that the other opponent has. Valentina's a former future world champion. They were just looking to grow her up there. Molly McCann, former Cage Warriors champion in England. We're looking to build her up here. Luana Carolina, geez, she's young. She just come off the Contender Series. We gave her a contract. The Dobson fight, there's zero upside. It's not as if they were like, yo, save her to build somebody. It was like, yo, we kind of owe her one.
Maybe this girl will gas out and Cachoeira will be able to get a win.
Right, now.
They must love her because, she probably didn't complain when, they almost had her killed.
No, dude, and the best was when Mario Yamasaki was like, I let her be a warrior. They talked to her about it, and she was just like, yeah, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be a warrior.
Fuck you talking about, yeah, you appreciated that.
Yeah.
That was not cool, man. How did you allow that to happen? But here's the big takeaway I had, right? The Valentina fight, she landed 2 strikes because she was on her back getting slaughtered the whole time. But the Molly McCann fight, she landed 75 strikes versus 107 for McCann. She's tried to stay in the fight. She had a good third round. She rallied, but she threw a lot of strikes. She was on the opposite end of a lot of the landing punches, and she has no striking defense. But she took a lot of the strikes, landed 75 of her own. Against Luana Carolina, again, Luana Carolina landed 111 significant strikes versus 69 for Cachoeira. So Cachoeira is landing plenty of strikes. The problem in both of those matchups against McCann and Luana Carolina is that they just doubled her up. They just kept out striking her. This is the problem with Shayna Dobson. Shayna Dobson's got better technical boxing. She's going to be able to hit Cachoeira, no fucking problem, but she doesn't throw enough punches. She throws maybe 30, 40 significant punches in a fight. She mostly just likes to counter punch. And I do envision a scenario with Cachoeira just tries to make it a dirty brawl. She's going to be getting hit. The counter punching is coming all day from Dobson. But I would never feel confident 200 for Dobson. No. I could see Dobson playable at minus 120, minus 130. And I would still consider you degenerate because this is like you just don't know what you're getting out of either participant. But plus 170 on Cachoeira, it's like at least they're giving her a winnable fight. There's no hometown favorite in this matchup. Both of them are just contractually obligated to have a fight. So it's like, just go fight on the Fight Pass prelims that most people... The event starts at what, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time?
I'm not sure.
I think it starts at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Most people probably are doing something at 4 o'clock on the Saturday prior to the start of the fight. So you'll probably end up missing this fight. They don't care. They're just putting it on as filler. But it's
both girls wanted to go to New Zealand, so...
Yeah, but to me, it really comes down to the fact that this is, because of all the intangibles and the variables, it's probably closer to a pick'em fight. And it's not a price tag that reflects that. Because Priscilla Cachoeira is the butt end of every single joke. So no one's going to put real money on her. And this is a price tag that largely reflects that.
Yeah, I know. You're right. But I am not.
That's the good call. Let's hit a hard pass.
I will never do it.
We're just passing on so many fights. It's like, what's the dog? I'm not talking 110, 115.
I mean, I want to play Meek.
Yeah, that's a real dog for you. He's a good dog.
Carolina, I just don't know if she's still got it, but the path is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the two that really stand out to me. Otherwise, yeah, those are the two that I'm really looking at. Anyway, let's talk about the DraftKings breakdown here. Main event, Hooker 8,700, Felder 7,500. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously people always try to target the main event due to the fact that you got the 5 rounds to work with. It just depends to me. Like, are you going to get much grappling out of this? I see Hooker could take down Felder, and Felder would just get right back up. So that'd be good because Hooker could potentially get some points on the judge's scorecard and score me some DK points if I am going Hooker. Hooker, I feel like he's slightly overvalued at $8,700 because at minus 150, the reflection is not $8,700. It's because he has that string of first round finishes, beating, Burns by first round finish, beating Jim Miller by first round finish, beating decent enough competition, knocking them out, is that he has scored traditionally very high on DraftKings, so he's kind of being overvalued a little bit.
Get there on value, or he could get there on volume as well, which is...
He could get there on volume.
It's a 5-round fight. Obviously, the main events are always very highly owned, so I don't hate Hooker as a play.
No, but let's say a similar scenario to the Edson Barbosa fight plays out, and the guy goes out there and scores 80 significant strikes, 90 significant strikes. Let's just say for the sake of argument, he scores 100 significant strikes. But outside of that, like, there's no takedowns. There's no ground transitions, obviously. He's not knocking him down. As a result, it's like you may end up in the loss, end up with 50 points, right? Which is in the worst on a cash game. But as far as the GPP, like, you got to be certain this guy's got a great chance to finish. And I don't feel like the chance to finish Felder is really there. If you're going to beat Felder, you got to beat Felder by decision. Beating Felder by decision, like, he doesn't have these massive defensive holes in his game. Like, he's not there to get hit all the time. So could be low scoring. Because it's the main event, should be higher ownership. It's 5 rounds. Like I said, people like to target it. I'm feeling personally I may try to avoid this main event.
Hooker or bust for me. I wouldn't want to play Paul Felder.
No, Felder
the volume's just too low. Completely
agree there. Now, this next one, you're probably going to need a piece of either going to have a Oleksiejczuk at $8,200 or you're going to go Jimmy Crute with $8,000. Jimmy Crute, the thing I like about him is that he'll mix in the takedowns with the wrestling. But if we saw anything from the Paul Craig fights, like, because he's so young and green and developing, there's a lot of scrambles. There's a lot of just like loss of position. And I feel like that is the key to scoring lots of points is don't just score me 1 takedown, hold the guy down and butcher him. Score me 3 takedowns and then eventually catch that submission at some point. He fights at a decent enough pace that I feel like he could break Oleksiejczuk. Here's the one issue that I'm obviously going to have with this one. I got Jimmy Crute. You're going with Lord Michael, correct?
Yeah, ever so slightly.
Okay, ever so slightly.
I mean, this is, as I said earlier, I would rather just bet this thing live.
Yeah,
and that means I actually end up missing out on Oleksiejczuk because I think if you want to bet Oleksiejczuk, you got to bet him. You got to bet him pre-fight because he's going to come out bombing.
Yeah, now it feels like if you're playing the big GPP, you want exposure to this, right? Both guys have high upside to score a lot of points. Oleksiejczuk, obviously, he's a potent first-round finisher. He's going to score points. Jimmy Crute, he's got scrambles, he's got wrestling, he's got striking. He has scored significantly well in his win so far. Why wouldn't you want a piece of Jimmy Crute as well? The issue herein lies, though, if you're playing something like MMA World Cup, or you're playing a cash game head-to-head, if you don't get this one right, you could score very, very, very low and ruin your roster. So just buyers beware that both guys have a lot of merit. You probably want exposure to one of them. If you're playing multiple lineups, I can see you having some lineups with both guys.
fight for sure.
But as far as one single lineup goes, you got to be, hopefully you're on the right side.
Playing cash, probably not a fight
yeah,
you want to be involved
Oleksiejczuk kicks his ass in the first round and gets submitted in the second.
Yeah, the loser, or if
Crute gets knocked out in the first
gets
round,
takes him down really fast and then finds a submission really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, both guys have like floors of next to nothing.
And dude, a couple weeks back, you got Gilbert Burns' brother Herbert, and I got Nate Landwehr, and it's like you have to have one of these guys.
We both had Landwehr.
Oh, we both ended up on Landwehr. Yep. You know what? Fuck it. Shit happens. And he went for it. He walked right into that knee. It is what it is. Obviously, Burns was the other side, but that was another fight where it's like
high variance.
If our guy wins, we're on the winning lineup. If our guy loses,
then then all the other guys gotta lift up their socks, please.
They gotta lift up their socks.
Jan versus Kowalkiewicz, 92 and 7,000.
Karolina Kowalkiewicz, I would give her maybe I say that the durability is slipping a little bit, and I could see Jan finishing her. But again, $9,200, I gotta be certain of that. I gotta be certain she absolutely puts it on her because she's not shown. She took Angela Hill down a few times. I don't know that she tries to take it down Karolina. I don't know that she can take down Karolina. So if this is a 3-round kickboxing match and she's not going to get that finish, $9,200 is just too much personally. Yeah. Even though I see her winning, the $260 I didn't love, and the $9,200 on DraftKings I definitely don't like.
Okay.
Moving on from that, we got Rogerio de Lima and Ben Sosoli. This is kind of another similar situation. If Rogerio de Lima wins, could he win a decision? Yeah. And it would be very, very boring.
It's gonna be so ugly.
But he's kind of like one of those banger bust guys. That's the reason I'm going Sosoli. I feel like Sosoli's durability is enough that he'll at least survive the first round. And then if he can keep the fight standing for pieces of the second or the third, he should be enough to just land one of those shots on de Lima. The smart move is the pass. But on the DraftKings side of things, like at least de Lima's going to go for it. His upside to winning is that he usually, gets a knockout. He fights such bad fighters, man. That's the key. He fights really bad guys. This is the bottom of the heavyweight division. Yeah, I feel like Ben Sosoli's
This is the bottom of the heavyweight division. This is like
I feel like the
bottom of the barrel. This is like the dust at the bottom.
Ben Sosoli's Tapology picture is him with painted on abs.
He looks like my buddy Jamie Cooper.
So definitely have a look at that one. I could see both guys scoring big. But you know what? It could be a really slugged out heavyweight fight that goes 3 rounds where neither guy does anything. Yep. Ben Sosoli didn't throw anything against Hardy. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because Hardy's 6'5" and a freak athlete. Rogerio de Lima's infinitely slower, infinitely smaller. Ben Sosoli should get it down. Magomed Mustafaev versus Brad Riddell. I'm going to go Brad Riddell. I feel like the DK play is Magomed Mustafaev. He's got very high upside. The way he wins is he finishes guys in the first round, and there's just too many question marks for him. Brad Riddell, he's not going to take down Mustafaev. He's either got to break him down systematically and finish him late, or he's just got to rely on getting that decision victory. The decision victory for $7,800, he's going to be one of those guys I may end up rostering. He may score me 72, 75 points. I don't feel like he's going to get 100 points. I'm saying he could score up to the 7,800. But looking at this card, it looks like you're going to need a lot of these mid-value plays to try to build up. I don't like a lot of the cheap options. We'll get to some of those in a bit. But Brad Riddell is going to be the play there, and I feel like $7,800, not the worst. He's probably going to pick up a decision if he's going to win, and he's just got to rely on landing enough strikes. Hopefully 100 significant strikes plus the decision victory. Kevin Aguilar, Tukhugov, flat pass. Tukhugov, if he goes out and gets me 6 takedowns and that's 30 points, there's just not enough striking with the takedowns. There's not enough ground transitions. It's just holding them down. So even though I love lots of takedowns, there's not enough of the other variables. Kevin Aguilar, meanwhile, they don't score fuck all off your back. Even if you're butchering the guy with elbows off your back, the fight metric doesn't score it. And if they don't score it, DK's not scoring it. And if DK is not scoring it, it's not worth shit. Submission attempts, not worth shit. So if he's trying to submit him and he's working and he's moving, it's not going to make a world of difference. And for that reason, even though I kind of want a guy like that for $8,100, I just have a bad feeling about it. Jalen Turner versus Culibao. Jalen Turner, $8,800. He's got a propensity. Jalen Turner versus Culibao.
Yeah, that was better. I think the first time it was like Canyonero or something. Canyonero. That's what I heard. Continue, sorry.
Okay, he's a big mystery, right? I mean, if he's actually good, and he fought a lot as an amateur, he's 8-0 as a pro, he's fighting better level of competition, even though he has not cracked good level of competition yet. He's at least trying to make some improvements.
His last fight was against like some guy like Max Payne. And he was 8-8.
Yeah, and Jalen Turner's 8-5 as a professional, and Bellator didn't think enough of this guy to keep him on their roster. So it's like I don't know. Like I think that's a hard pass. $8,800 on Turner. Could he get a knockout and score big? Yes.
High finish potential in this fight, though. I think.
Yeah, and that's like you said. There's a lot of variables in this fight. So I'll have to have
that's
another
a tournament
look.
fight, I think, for sure. And I don't think the guys.
But
the guys there probably
player.
won't be too owned either.
No, Culibao. If you're gonna fade Jalen Turner, this would be an excellent spot on DK because for $7,400, you got a guy that could. Matt Frivola broke this guy down and exposed him.
Matt Frivola had the grappling to make the thing interesting, and he got cracked. He got cracked a bunch of times. He just didn't go to sleep.
Yeah, and is a much better fighter than Culibao.
Yeah.
The thing is that I know I think Frivola is better because I've seen Frivola. I know his grappling's good. I know his wrestling's good.
Comes from a good camp.
Yeah, it comes from a good camp. His chin's not that great, but he took these punches. Whereas Culibao's like, I don't know. The fact that he's an Australian prospect, I have to say he's not on Frivola's level, but he could surprise us. So that one's worth looking into. I'm not fully sold on that though. You got Meek, I got Jake Matthews. I don't see Jake Matthews scoring a ton of points at $9,100. Like he gets the takedowns, but outside of that, like if he was lesser, I would think maybe. Meek just keeps getting back up. Jake Matthews got to keep taking him down. But you make an excellent point. Meek's getting taken down by Bartosz Fabinski and Kamaru Usman.
30%. Made him 30%.
Yeah, those guys are ridiculously strong. Like even Jordan Mean. Jordan Mean's a big guy, right? So I can kind of see where it's like they're wrangling
It's like
you
the
to
first
the ground.
time at 170 that Jake Matthews doesn't really have that size advantage.
Yeah. And the other thing,
I want to see them standing next to each other. I haven't made a play on it yet, but I want to see them standing next to each other still.
Also, it's like, and I might be thinking way too far into this, but when you look at Emil Meek, it's like when he takes on Jordan Mean's like 29 years old or something at the time, right? He takes on Kamaru Usman. It's like Kamaru Usman's like 28 years old, 29 years old. Like these guys are in the prime. Bartosz Fabinski's like 33 years old. They're all men. They're all men with grappling acumens, right? Jake Matthews is 25 years old. He wasn't all that strong. He was seemingly strong at 55.
Yeah.
But at 170, he's not all that strong.
No, he's just average size.
Right. So if Meeks fucking stands him up and says, not taking me down, then he's in some trouble. Why I'm going to stick with Matthews, though, is I think Matthews would be comfortable with just holding him up against the cage. Like, I don't think he's above doing that.
Potter versus
That's
Song.
the way to win. Potter versus Song, this is a flat pass. Like Song's going to let everybody down, and Potter's going to end up being the play somehow. But it would have to be a GPP punt. You would have to be entering lineups and just say, here's your punt.
Yeah,
and
think
you're
of
gonna,
Callum
you're gonna put
Potter
him
as
on that.
Paul Craig. Like he's gonna have to catch some sort of submission out of pull a rabbit out of a hat type of situation.
Well, you could pull out a rabbit out of the hat, or it's completely possible here that everyone's overrating Song Kanan. I mean, here's just one point I forgot to bring up earlier that I found quite interesting, is that like, he's fought absolutely nobody, and yet somehow we believe this guy's good. I mean, he's not particularly young. He's 29, but he had lost, this is before the UFC, he lost to Elner Agaev by decision, and he lost to Brad Riddell, also on the card, who knocked him out. He's the only fighter to make.
You love Brad Riddell.
I know,
You're picking him against Magomed Mustafaev.
What I'm saying is he's the only fighter to get signed to the UFC coming off of 2 straight losses because they're in China and they need a guy. They need a guy.
They're like, you know what? I think we can really lay them on a guy like Callum Potter one day.
So they're like, okay, you know what? We're in China. We need a guy short notice who this guy shouldn't be here, but you know what? Let's throw him in against Bobby Nash. Bobby Nash never won a fight in the UFC and got cut. Then he fought Hector Aldana, who never won a fight in the UFC and then got cut.
Former Paul Shag, worst fighter in the UFC.
Yeah, then he got worked over by Alex Morono, right? His striking didn't look effective. His grappling didn't look effective. And then he beat Derek Krantz. Now, I actually do agree with you. I think Derek Krantz is better than Callum Potter. So to me, Song Kanong is the rightful favorite in this spot. But I can't help but think
I wouldn't want to play him
Krantz
on
is cut as well,
DraftKings.
too.
It's going to be a stand-up type of fight with him. It's going to have to be either a finish, but Potter's pretty durable. Or it's going to have to be like he'll need a lot to pay off 9K. It'll have to be a lot of volume.
Yeah, and I'm going back to he's 3-3 in his last 6 fights, and the 3 wins that he's had in the UFC are over guys that are no longer with the UFC and never won a fight in the UFC. So 200 is just too big of a price tag. 9,000 is too much for me. Potter was just like a mega punt. I'm not fully confident in even thinking about that yet, but I could be talked into it. More tape study need to be done there. Kai Kara-France versus Tyson Nam. Kai Kara-France is just overpriced because I don't know for sure he's going to get that finish over Tyson Nam without the ground game, without all that. It's just not going to quite be enough for me. Angela Hill versus Lookboonmee. Angela Hill's very expensive. If Lookboonmee does exactly what everyone believes she's going to do, which is close the distance, get into the clinch, and hold on to her and just fight her at close range.
Yeah, that's not a scoring.
No. This is a very low scoring affair, both sides. So I would have to say Lookboonmee becomes way more appealing because she's only $7,300. But because I don't think she's going to come out here and
maybe a cash
pull out the
game
victory.
dog because you just think that you're going to at least
3 rounds,
get the 3
strikes.
rounds, but I don't know.
And everybody complains every week about the fight metric scoring, right? Well, that's the issue with the clinch. Is that short little knee to the body a significant strike or if it's not? Because I bet you Angela Hill would tell you
Depends
it's a significant
on who's
strike.
scoring
It hits
that
you.
day.
Yeah, it just depends. That's the problem. Like with clinch work, sometimes it's like it's sneaky, it's hidden, it's low. Like they want to see a punch at distance, at range, hit somebody. They don't care about ground and pound and hit the guy 10 times. It's like, oh, but you didn't really like torque up and smash. It's like, the fuck are you talking about? It's a strike is a strike.
Yeah, significant strikes.
But a strike is not a strike.
Let's not get onto that topic.
And so that makes this fight a lot greasier when you think about it that way. Pitolo could knock out Takashi Sato. Sato could grind out Pitolo and make $8,300 worth it. I would say Pitolo is actually the play. Even though I talked about it, I don't like him on the money line side of things. I don't mind that this guy does have a decent amount of power, and I think he could nail one on Takashi Sato and probably hurt this guy. It's possible. Yeah, definitely worth a look there. And then Shayna Dobson versus Priscilla Cachoeira. I don't think you want any exposure to any of this on the money line. Maybe if you're a real degenerate, that you take that 170 dog
You
play.
sick fucks.
But maybe
Don't do it.
but maybe you avoid it completely. And then as far as the DraftKings side of it goes, I think you avoid it completely as well. Dobson's the favorite, but at $8,600, we just mentioned like she doesn't really she doesn't wrestle, right? So take that off the
And
table.
her opponent's
she's not going to get ground transitions because she's not
and her
wrestling.
opponent's durable.
Yeah, and she just counter punches, right? Counter punching is not leading the dance. It's waiting for your opponent to do something. And if Cachoeira comes out there, throws 3 punches, Dobson counters her with 1 clean. I don't know what the judges are looking at.
Yeah,
I don't
fair.
know if they're looking at aggression and 3 small punches or if they're looking at octagon control and a good counter punch. Like, I don't know. So this card, they've done an excellent job of just really making it difficult to like zone in on your play of the weeks and the stuff that you feel confident. And definitely, I mean, I love parlays, but like this one really screams so many variables, so many 50-50 fights. Like,
Yeah.
my God.
All right, what is the PRP this week?
Yeah, the PRP. If this thing could survive, it would pay so much money.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to go with Dan Hooker. We're going to go with Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute, that's dog number 1. We're going to take on Xiaonan Yan. How do you say it? Yan
Xiaonan, I believe, is how
I'm
I
really
pronounce
bad with
it.
the Chinese names.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Yan. We're going to go with Ben Sosoli. That's dog number 2.
Sick fuck.
We're going to go with Brad Riddell. That's dog number 3.
Not feeling
We're going to go with Zubair Tukhugov. He's an even money guy. We're going to go with Jalen Turner. We're going to go with Jake Matthews. We're going to take Son Kanon. Really got a bad feeling there. We got Kai Kara France. We got Angela Hill. We got Maki Pitolo is being listed as an underdog. That'll be our dog number 4. And then, yeah, I mean, I have to make a pick here. So I'm going to take Priscilla. Just dog number 5.
No way.
This is a 13 fight.
Stop it.
This is a 13 fight
Priscilla's
card.
going to get her first win. What is the world coming to?
Dobson has lost to Lauren Mueller and has a UFC
I know.
victory over Ariel Beck,
Yeah, I know.
who is 2-1. Right?
know.
Like,
If it's ever
very
going to happen,
difficult.
this is it.
How could you look me in the eyes and tell me that she's a 2-1
I'm not laying
favorite?
minus 200, I'll tell you.
No,
that
that's the
much.
thing. I could see being like, yo, I know this girl. I want to say she's a gym teacher as well. She's in good shape. Hey, Miss Dobson, should put it on you. But like, this is a UFC fight against an 0-3 opponent. But at the very least, UFC, we all watch at home and we say, Jesus, how is Priscilla Cachoeira still in the organization? But like, she's obviously not embarrassing them enough that they're cutting her. Like, they're giving her one more chance. And this almost feels like, yo, we set you up with some tough fights in the past.
We're really sorry for what happened in Brazil.
You should have looked better in your last fight, but we're going to
That was
give
in
you...
Brazil, was it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we're going to give you one more against Dobson, who both girls have their back against the...
Yeah, it's pink slip fight, in theory.
Yeah.
Who
you
knows?
know those rare times that the
These
UFC
days.
cuts somebody in a victory? Like that, this could be it. Priscilla Cachoeira signed a 4-fight deal. So all they're doing is honoring the deal by giving her this last fight. If she wins, they just may not re-sign her. I mean, let's be honest here. And if Dobson wins, there's more of an argument for re-signing her, but like, why? She'd be 4-3 in the UFC, and just to confirm, I just want to confirm her age, because that was another thing that I was like massively worried about, is that she pulled all of her punches her last time out, didn't really want to engage, didn't look fully interested, and internet currently down. I should know this. She's only 30. I don't know. You know what? This is a hard fucking pass. She's out of a better camp. She's got better boxing, but this is a hard pass.
Sometimes you train.
Yeah, I got time to make it.
All right, let's quickly. We said that we'd do it. Michel Pereira, Diego Sanchez. I'm not gonna sit in front of a microphone and talk shit about Diego Sanchez. The problem here in this situation is the way that contracts are set up for UFC fighters. Diego knows he's losing that fight. They go, oh. I mean, it's kind of on the ref for saying to Diego that it would be ruled a disqualification. Michel Pereira, I love him. I think he's great for entertainment and everything like that. I mean, when he does that backflip somersault, if you land on your opponent's head, you're going to get disqualified. I don't know if under the rule set that we have in North America or for the UFC, I don't know if UFC fans deserve this guy because the way that he fights, there shouldn't be any rules. Like, it's just no rule type of approach to the game, which makes it wildly entertaining and all of that stuff. If Diego Sanchez, they're basically dangling, here's $100,000. We're dangling $100,000. If he says, yeah, I'm ready to go, I'm not getting paid nearly as much after this. But because he gets the DQ, he gets his win bonus with his paycheck.
Okay,
like it's
so let's
Diego
say,
Sanchez has been in so many wars. I saw a lot of people really shitting on him, and it's just like, man, the amount of wars that Diego has put his life on the line for this, and he says that he can't see. I'm sorry, I'm going to side with the guy who's been a warrior for the last 15 years.
Yeah, I agree.
If he says he can't see, this is Diego.
It's how it came about. It's the fact that Herzog tells him, yo, here's how it's laid out.
It's going to be a disqualification.
And by the way, I hear what you're saying.
So you're not going to get it. Like, you're
Yeah,
thinking in your
make
head,
the
you're
same
going, I
argument.
have a lot of bills to pay. There's no way I'm winning this fight at this point. Like, it's pretty much over.
Okay.
This guy's honing in to finish me off.
Let me put you on the spot then, right? Let's say that $100,000 win bonus was already cooked into his show money. And there's nothing.
If he did that in that situation?
No, do you think he would have? Or do you think he only did it for the $100,000?
I think he did it for his paycheck.
You think that's the only reason?
I mean, maybe he just couldn't see as well.
No, I think he takes it regardless.
I think he can't see very well.
I think this is a guy that's lost his last 2 fights in the UFC. He looks increasingly fucking worse every time you see him.
Mm-hmm.
He did nothing in that fight against Pereira except throw 2 somersault kicks and try to evade punches with open hand.
He would run, like sprint in.
He's
he
on a
sprinted
straight
in
line.
on a straight line.
Yeah,
and
that was the most action he did for the most part, right? Like
Absolutely.
it was really, really bad. Now here's my problem with it. I get the whole you take the $100,000. I get the whole he needed to win. They're probably going to cut him or release him after this.
The guy got divorced. He's probably got alimony and a bunch of other bills that you're not thinking of. This is not a very like.
Yeah, but I think Herzog took the wrong fucking approach. Okay,
Yeah.
first and foremost,
Herzog letting him know that it's going
to
to be a disqualification.
Yeah, that's
information you should have. The information should be, I can't tell you what the situation would be right now. All I will say is that, can you see? Can you continue to fight?
Okay, and then he tells you, no, I can't. But the fucking doctor just told you, yeah, he's fine to continue. Because the doctor looked in his eye and said, he doesn't have any blood in his eye. He's looking, his pupil's looking right at me. There's no coronary...
Eyes are weird, though.
Fair. We don't know. We're not Diego Sanchez. I'm saying the doctor says, yo, the guy's good to continue. There's like, what, a minute and a half left in the round. He's losing the first 2 rounds is understatement. I don't know.
I don't know
if they were
very
10-8s.
illegally. Like, it's an illegal shot.
Yeah, it's an illegal shot, but I think you have to look at it like this. Here's a guy that has not won 1 second of this fight.
He gets twice the amount of pay if he says, no, I'm done.
It's a no contest. It's a no contest. Whether you thought it was an illegal knee or obviously it was an illegal knee.
It wasn't as egregious as the other one earlier in the night. The Brock Weaver one was like he fucking knocked him out.
He knocked him out. Yeah. Well, and you know what the difference there is? As soon as it happened, he waved it off, and I was like, oh, dude. I thought Herzog's doing the right move. Herzog's giving Diego the 5 minutes. Herzog's assessing the situation, whereas this guy just waved it off. But in hindsight, it's like, no. Brock Weaver went limp, and he saw that. So he's just like, there's no discussion to be had. All he's going to do is wake up and try to argue why he can continue. I'm going to wave this off before he can do that. In Sanchez's case, it's like, they're asking him, like, yo, you're good. And that's when he plays the veteran tactic of like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Can I talk to my team? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I've seen him fight Martin Kampmann with 2 eyes completely swollen shut. I've seen this guy go through all of the damage in the world. He's known as a bleeder. He's known as a warrior. He says in his pre-fight interview, you know, this is sacred ground in New Mexico where the Aztecs fought, and I'm looking to spill some blood in this land, on this ground, just not my own. And then he proceeds to put on an abysmal performance and takes that way out. I wish it was a no contest, not just because of the betting that was online. It's that it's hard to reward a guy who got straight fucked up. Here's the precedent that you set.
I mean, I lost money for the record. Like, yeah.
Why would anybody who gets dick kicked or gets kneed in the head or gets poked in the eye, why would anybody want to continue?
Yeah.
Because Herzog just set a precedent of, well, it was an illegal move, which all those things I just named are. It was an illegal move. If you say you can't continue, then you win the fight.
Yeah.
So it's a bad precedent to set. The no contest would have been like, fuck.
I think it's, I would have, well, financially, I would have preferred that it was, like, that was a pretty bad beat.
And the UFC
he was
is
well
different.
on his way to win. And you were right, actually. He still had some of his crazy antics and stuff like that, but he was definitely a lot more reserved in this fight than he was, because he was scared of getting taken down. He knew that Diego's only chance to beat him was if he got top control and put on a grappling clinic.
Yeah, and you know what? That worked in his favor on the one hand, that if he didn't look that bad, it went way against him on he needed to knock out Diego as quick as possible.
Because
otherwise,
the longer he spends time in there, the closer he's going to get to getting disqualified. Because we are fighting in North America under the unified rules, this guy is made for Ryzen. Because I get that backflip thing, it's really fun watching. He lands on somebody's head there, he's going to get disqualified. Like,
dude, there's a ton
the problem
of
is
shit he's gonna get in
UFC fans
trouble
don't
for.
deserve Michel Pereira. That's where I really think.
Yeah, listen,
the rule set here is not working for him, which sucks because not enough people. If he goes over to Ryzen, I'm sure in the Japanese market people like it, but like, let's face it, the North American fan base just doesn't travel over there. Like, North American fan base will lose track of this guy completely if he's not anywhere except for like UFC or Bellator.
Yeah, okay, so I agree and I disagree. One thing I didn't like about the New Mexico card, the Rio Rancho card, is right off the top of the broadcast, they're like, replays are not in effect and the new rules are not in effect. So it's like Diego on one knee is a legal strike in some fucking commissions, but it's an illegal strike in that commission. And the way this motherfucker fights, he don't know the rules. He's just going out there and putting it on the line. So we always used to talk about banana peel pricing, It doesn't matter how big of a favorite are, you could just lose. My new thing, if you have poor ring IQ, is Michel Pereira pricing. Is that like him and Andre Sukumatath? It's like they just find a fucking way, dude. I don't know how they do it, but they find a fucking way to shit in the pie. By the way, that card, you watch this show and you're following it along, you're probably like, this pie is fucking really good. Wow, this pie is really good. And Pereira and Corey Anderson subsequently both fucking shit in the pie. It wasn't a bad night. It was a good event. I stayed away from Anderson. Yes, it was a good event. And you also had those, like, when you're talking about, you had those events, Valentina Shevchenko with Lando Venata.
Lando.
And you had
know what, that was... When
but
I got that, he was plus 115, but I parlayed it with Shevchenko, which gave me 142. And I just thought, and it really did play out that way. It was a pick'em fight. And I was just getting plus money on it and trying to get more money onto Valentina, like minus 750, because that line was just stupid.
And here's something with the Lando fight, right? And I was heated in the moment, and I tweeted about it. I was heated in the moment, but I was basically like, yo, this guy's classic Lando, looks good for 3 minutes, and then falls right off the fucking rails.
Dancing.
Right. He fought what somebody at the bar watching at a Boston Pizza would suggest was also a puss game plan. But I understood that one. It was like, you need to evade. He needs a win. There's no sense in standing with this guy who's just looking to throw those heaters. He fought a good distance game. It was a boring fight. His stock does not go up. No. But I understood it. Diego physically lost every second of the fight, and he got the win out of the whole thing. That was the only thing that was like somewhat. And my last point, and then we can walk away. The worst part for me on a personal level about Diego Sanchez winning that fight, I like Diego Sanchez.
I love Diego. That's why I said I'm not going to talk smack about Diego Sanchez getting what's his.
Right. And all I'm going to say is I love Diego Sanchez. He's a tough one winner. I mean, he's fought 185 pounds for our amusement. He's fought 170 pounds for our amusement. He's fought 155 pounds for our amusement. Hell, one time he tried to fight 145 pounds against Ricardo Lamas for our amusement. The guy said some wacky shit. He's got an answer. He's put it on. he's as old as Juan Espino. So the guy that won season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter is the same age as the guy that won the very last season of The Ultimate Fighter. He's got more wars than anybody. He doesn't owe us anything. And you know what? Maybe it wasn't puss tactic because he doesn't owe us shit. He's given us so many Fight of the Nights. I get that, right? The toughest part of me, though, is he would have lost, and he should have lost. If he would have lost, I think that would have been the end of Diego Sanchez. And I think that's the right move. Instead, we've got some weird-ass coach in his ear who, Lord knows what the fuck is going on there, man. But it's a very bad look. He's looked worse than he has in years.
His, like, spirit coach?
Yeah, like, he can't keep taking punches and kicks to the head. And, yeah, it's a win on his record, but it's very much an ass-kicking that he took. And, like, I don't know where the guy's at. Him winning ensures that he'll probably get another fight. And that's the biggest thing I don't want. Anymore. He shouldn't fight. No. If I'm Dana and them, I'm saying, you know what?
This is one of the guys that you're going to have to step. Remember when Dana had to step in, talk to Chuck, because Chuck was like,
Diego won't do that.
That's the kind of conversation that would have to happen. Now, that being said, if the UFC released Diego, he probably just goes and signs with whoever else and continues to fight. You can't stop a man from working if he thinks he can still do it.
Okay, but here's the problem with him, right? You have to save him from himself. And, like, who can do that? I don't know, especially with this, like, butt toucher in his ear being like, oh, this is how you got to go about it. But, like, after Diego's last fight in the UFC, he lost, okay? He contacted Dave LeDuc, who's the Canadian Lethweight champion. He fights in Burma, Myanmar, and he's the Lethweight champion. He contacted Dave LeDuc and apparently said, bring me out to Burma for some Burmese bare-knuckle boxing. He wanted to go and fight Lethweight in Myanmar. Dave LeDuc went on Joe Rogan's podcast and mentioned that. It was like, yeah, Diego contacted me. He wants to fight Lethweight, which is everything's, well, you're allowed to headbutt. It's like Muay Thai, but you're allowed to headbutt. A couple other different variations, shorter rounds, all that shit. But mostly it's just you're allowed to headbutt. Knee, elbow, everything else. And he wasn't out of contract. He ended up signing this contract to fight for Pereira like shortly thereafter. So it makes no sense to me. Why is this guy angling for fights that pay a fraction of what he's getting in the UFC when he's still under contract? Like, I don't want to say he's crazy because everybody knows he's crazy. But I mean, like, it's getting worse, man. And at least when he was with Greg Jackson and them, it's like, here's guys that have been with him for 20 years that know exactly who he is as a person and as a fighter and are going to give him an adequate game plan. But, like, now he's just like, I don't know. He's going to end up broke living under a bridge. And, like, that's what I don't want to see.
That's
he
why
does
he
not
needs
deserve
his $100,000.
But best case scenario, would he have lost?
It's not going to end well for him.
Best case scenario.
I'm happy to see more money go into his bank account because he's going to need it down the line.
But best
that guy
case
can't
scenario
just walk
would have
into any sort of office and get an office job. Like, that guy's a fighter, and then I don't know what he does afterwards. Like, he goes on such long-winded tangents anytime you ask him anything. It'd be really hard to hire that guy in any sort of work environment. I know that just took a real sad tone, but
it did. It
is like, this guy is not made for most things in regular part of society. Like, the guy's a fighter. He's born to be a fighter, and it's kind of sad seeing the end of the road. Or at least the end of the peak, because with him, he's probably going to continue to fight. Anyway.
Well, that's what you don't want to see. And like you said, with him, he doesn't know anything else. So, like, what could this guy possibly do?
Exactly.
But best case scenario, he would have told the ref, you know what, I can continue. And would have lost. And Dana and them, if they weren't fucking dickheads anymore back in the day, they would have done this back in the day. They would have said, hey, kid.
Yeah,
thanks for continuing.
Thanks you for.
We're gonna give you your win bonus anyways. You put it on there. You're getting your ass kicked.
Anyone.
You did it. Don't tell anyone because we don't want to set a precedent of giving these fools money. But yeah, you can give him Craig White. You can give him Mickey Gall. In this case, he shouldn't have had that win. But his other wins,
he's
it's just
giving up a lot of size. We learned that's what Pereira had so much size on him that. He couldn't really do anything effective.
Yeah. So in the same breath that we talk about BJ Penn needs to hang it up, stop giving him fights, and then you see how like tumultuous his personal life is. It's like I don't want that from Diego. He is a good dude. He's a longtime veteran. He's put it on the line for us, but like.
This is when we worked at Fight Now, where Ken Shamrock came in and he said, "Here's the thing," and this is like 6-7 years ago. There was a clip that we had with him, and we said, "All of these old legends that you're gonna start to see." Like, he was basically talking about CTE. It was just kind of even before like CTE was like a big issue, or not as big of an issue as you see in the NFL and stuff right now. But he was talking about how like a lot of these former legends and stuff you're gonna see. Them start to get in trouble with the law and see some of these, maybe their head injuries catching up with them. I feel like we're starting to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like BJ Penn really feels that way.
Wow, his is especially bad. But here's one for you. Let me just get you the exact record. But Shawnee Carter, right? Mr. International. All the OG fans from back in the day will remember Shawnee Carter. The spinning back fist over Matt Serra, all that, right? What you don't remember about Shawnee Carter is that he just didn't stop fighting, right? He finished his career with a record of 51 wins, 32 losses, 7 draws, right? I was with Shawnee, picked him up from the airport. This is his last pro fight 2 years ago. Retired thereafter. Group of us pick him up from the airport. We got to drive him 2 hours to the weigh-ins. He's 9 pounds overweight. He's eating a bag of fucking, what are they, like... It's like a pig skin almost. You can buy them at the corner store. Anyways, he's like eating snack food.
Pork rinds?
Pork rinds. He's eating pork rinds on the motherfucking way to weigh-ins, and he's 9 pounds overweight. It's just like, it's not there for him anymore, right? And he's got 100 fights, 32 pro losses. And I remember Rafael Casillas, who's Johnny Bedford's boxing coach, he says to him, Shawnee, when do you know it's over? When do you know, your career is done? You can't do this anymore. Like, this guy's still going. He's got all this experience, all this. He's shot to bits. He's still going. He said, when do you know it's over? And Shawnee Carter says to him, when it starts to hurt. When you're in there, you love to fight. This is what you do. You don't feel it. The adrenaline carries you through.
Charge right through it.
He goes, you get to a stage when you get a little older, your reflexes are a little bit slower. You think a little bit more in there, even though you're thinking a little bit less in there. He goes, and it hurts. And then the end is here. Diego had been in more wars than anybody. The fight with Gilbert Melendez, the fight with Jake Ellenberger, the fight with Martin Kampmann. It's like, this motherfucker put it.
Guida.
The Clay Guida fight was actually won a fight of the year.
It's like legendary.
Legendary. I just named 4 fight of the years in my opinion. They're all fight of the nights anyways. And it's just like, this man has put it on the line, right? It didn't seem like he felt, when he was standing toe-to-toe with those guys, he was superhuman. When they looked at Herzog in the eye with a hairline cut, he was hurting. He was hurt.
Yeah.
It's over. I don't want to see him do the same thing Shawnee did and take a couple more paychecks on the way out. That's what I don't want to see. We'll leave it at that, right?
Yep.
Sad.
Sad times indeed.
Yeah.
And
so
Priscilla Cachoeira may catch a W this week, which is...
Catch a W.
Never thought those words would ever come in my mouth. But if it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen this week. Cody Saftic, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for breaking down the fights with me, as always, and being a man of your word. Hey, take your $100 back.
No.
Your money's no good here. I was willing to give you plus 200. I was just like,
yeah,
I got to work on my poker face, because like what I should have done has been like 3-1. How about 3.5 to 1? I should have juiced you. I didn't juice you. So yeah, no, take that back.
No good gibber.
Your money's no good here. Well, except for the $200.
Oh, that money was still good.
Well, I mean, I was gonna pay you the $100. So yeah, I'll take 2 to 1.
Do you know who's on the $50 bill?
Just
do you know
next
do you know
time.
What prime minister is on the bill?
You're
a
William
poor
Lyon
fucking
Mackenzie King.
Canadian. Yeah, okay, you got it.
I was gonna say something. Yeah, just know next time you have questions about somebody may or may not make weight, you've got the weigh-in tout sitting right across.
Okay.
Right across the
I'm going to put you on the
desk from
spot here. This would be an easy one. Will anybody on the card miss weight?
Nothing jumps off the page this week.
Yeah, but you've got 26 fighters, so the odds of one of them missing weight would be in your favor. DeLima's a heavyweight now, so you don't got to worry about that.
I'm staring at like Dobson. Potential maybe for her to miss weight. I could be wrong there. Cachoeira, she needs that money so bad that like that chick will not miss weight. I don't
see anybody missing weight, to be honest.
If anybody does, it's Shayna Dobson.
Real professional looking group.
That's the one I'm pointing out. But this is not a rate board. Like that should have been like a 50-50 proposition. I was feeling very confident that he was going to miss weight.
The guy was on record saying, if I miss weight, I'll never fight again. I'll leave MMA behind.
That guy has always been a flake. And I know he's had other issues, and I don't want to attack the guy too much, but like he's always been a bit flaky on things. Let's call it spade.
Right. However, the one thing I will give is we did mention on the show, we're like, the only reason if you would come in overweight is it would be a great game plan in this grappler versus grappler affair.
I still bet Borg, by the way.
Yeah,
like,
we did.
I bet against
and we had him on DraftKings.
and I had him, like, I felt even slightly better, maybe not that much better. He did look pretty bad at the weigh-ins, but like, yeah, he's a great grappler. He's talented, but the problem is that skill for him, it doesn't translate to 135 the same way.
Well, he won his last 2 fights. One of them, he also missed weight.
Yeah, but like, I mean, at the top of the division, he actually has a shot if it's at 125. That game plan can work really well for him.
Well, that's why I thought he could be a world champion at 125. He would be just another guy at 135. That's why they're devoted to making it. I make the bet. Turns out, my biggest takeaway from the whole year of betting, not just don't bet on Ray Borg's fat ass to make weight when you know he just doesn't.
That's a bad decision.
Don't bet on weight-related matters with a guy named Keto Paul. Fuck. Keto Paul knows it all. Guy lost 100 pounds himself. Why am I arguing about weight with Paul Shaughnessy? Fuck.
I wasn't
a bonehead move.
100 pounds would be a lot. I definitely wasn't. I wasn't 300 pounds. Well, or even,
260.
I'm not 160 right now.
What's the lowest you've gotten since the keto?
179.
What's the heaviest you've ever been in your life?
260.
So what, 80 pounds?
Yeah. But like that, 260. Yeah, there's a family
sorry
photo.
For saying 100 pounds.
Family photo that they had. That it's like I'm wearing this like blue shirt, and like that blue shirt would probably be like a moo if I put it on right now. Anyway, thanks to Cody, as always, breaking down the fights with me. Thanks to producer Zach Pencer behind the sticks, back in the mix here for Cody and Zach. I'm Paul saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience. Experience.